Oh, nice. That was like right at start broadcast, too. We might have caught that.
Nice.
All right, you guys ready for the countdown number 1?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, go.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. You ready for countdown number 2?
I'm going to try to do this without laughing. Yeah.
Let me turn my light out.
No, laugh. That'd be great. All right. Ready?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1, go. You guys can do better than that. Come on.
Come into my van with no windows. There's candy in here.
You hit stalker levels of creepy there, man. That's like... Hello, everyone, and welcome to That Pixel Life. This is episode 28 for October 18th, 2018, and this is our first... And actually, that date's wrong. I messed that up. This is actually the 25th. Sorry about that. And this is our first annual spooky Halloween episode. We're transforming the whole show into horror topics, including our favorite horror games, our favorite Halloween memories, and we're even going to be reviewing the choices for the Halloween game challenge that we picked earlier in the month, including our listeners' reviews as well. My name is Josh Faulkner. We got Zach Anderson over there. Zach, what's the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life?
Scariest thing I ever seen in my life. That's probably a bad story to tell on the podcast. Let me come up with something else.
Oh, Jesus Christ. He took this in a dark turn.
Yeah, like it was one of those, my brain jumped to one specific thing, and I'm like, no, that's not a story for now. Yeah, never mind. I'm good.
That's too scary for the podcast.
Yeah.
Zach Anderson has no fear. Confirmed. All right, we got Shannon Moore there. Shannon, what's the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life?
I don't know, dude. It's scary things. The ghost story that I told a couple weeks ago is probably the scariest experience I've had. But I haven't really seen anything scary.
Okay, gotcha. Alaina Grimm over there. Hi, Alaina.
Hey, happy holidays.
Holidays. What's the scariest thing you've ever seen in your life?
Opening my Pokemon file and realizing that my ex-boyfriend had saved over all 200 hours of my file.
No.
Is that why he's the
that was the
ex-boyfriend?
scariest thing. He was not my boyfriend after that. Let's just put it that way. And the worst part is he didn't even like the game. He didn't even like, and I was like, man, just get gone.
You pick bad choices in men. I'm sorry.
Nope.
Scariest thing I've ever seen is that goddamn Clanker picture that fucking Zach put on Facebook.
Sorry.
The Clanker picture.
Clanker,
asshole.
Hey, did you guys ever read the Dear David
yeah,
Twitter?
stop that shit.
Thread?
No, not again.
Put that up, and that was creepy as shit.
I think that's fake. I think that's totally fake.
Of course it
doesn't matter. It's still
fake,
spooky.
but it's such a great exercise in modern horror, like the medium of Twitter.
That motion sensor one where he was in the bed and you just see the freaking thing pop up in the corner and then the head. I'm just like, oh god.
Yeah, the one where it's like sitting like on his bedside was like super freaky. But I think
chills.
Yeah, if anyone is wondering what I'm talking about, just Google Dear David, and it's this guy's entire Twitter thread of an experience he had in his apartment, and then the experience seems to follow him. And it just kind of keeps progressing as time goes, and it's amazing. It's
Did you know that
were warned.
Someone bought the rights to make a movie out of that?
Of course, yeah.
Standard.
So
apparently, Dear David, the movie, is coming here pretty soon. So
yeah.
All right, head over to thatpixellife.com for more from us, including all the links you may be interested in, like following us on Twitter at thatpixellife. You get show updates there. You can subscribe to us on YouTube and watch the unedited recording sessions of each show. If you join us on Patreon, you get to watch us live as we stream this each week, and you get a week early access to those videos. So check us out on Patreon as well. You can also join the Facebook group, talk to us about games on a daily basis. And you can also get the links to every podcast platform this show can be found on, which I think we're on pretty much everything. So that's making it nice and easy for you. Just to mention before we get started, I was on the EXP cast this week, which is good friends of the show. Stohan Jovic, he's a good dude. Been good pals with him for a while and kind of always co-podcasted with him. He has invited me on the show with the rest of the guys, Dan and Patrick over there. So I did that, and it was pretty fun. So check that out. They're on iTunes and the whole shebang. You can go to our website, and you can listen to the show right there off our website if you want to check it out there, too. So check that out. Also, I want to thank everyone who participated in our Halloween challenge this month too. That was a lot of fun, and we're going to get into that more here shortly. But yeah, it was really cool, and hopefully next month, or sorry, not next month, next year, we can beef that up a lot more and do some cooler stuff with it. So, yeah, let's go ahead and get into the industry buzz section, the Halloween edition. Now, I want to start with scariest moments in gaming. Now, we're going to get deeper into this stuff here in a minute, but I'm going to start with Shannon because he's probably got the quickest answer here.
It's Shannon, the ghost in Luigi's mansion.
Yes, the spider. It was the spider in Luigi's mansion.
The big boo. It was the big boo.
I thought you said boob there for a minute. The big boob.
Well, I mean,
too. I'm just saying.
Some people find that terrifying. I don't know.
I guess. Yeah. So Shannon, what is the scariest thing that's ever happened to you in a video game that you remember just playing the game? Now it could be a horror game or a non-horror game. That's something that's popped up, scared the hell out of you.
I would say I tried playing Outlast, and I maybe got I think maybe like a half hour into that game, and it just everything with the atmosphere and the suspense and the sound, like you get his breathing like accelerates, like, you know, when he gets nervous or when he walks into new environments or rooms, or, you know, when you see something out of the corner of your eye, the music, everything about that game, like while I didn't play a lot of it, really increased my anxiety and fear. So I mean, that was a pretty good one, like just to see like how far horror games have progressed.
Okay.
But I mean, like as far as like old school, like first like real scare, I would probably say it was like Resident Evil 2, because I'd never really played any of the Resident Evil games, and I just got in on the second one and I played it.
I was gonna say, to be fair, there were two of them.
Yeah,
so, you know.
Yeah. But I like I said, I had waited a long time, almost probably to like the end of like I was almost ready to buy a PlayStation by the time I actually got into playing Resident Evil 2, and yeah, I was that first like time when like the hand like pops through the window, like or like, you know, tries to grab you. I think when you're walking down the hallway, I think that was like the first real like jump scare that I ever had in like a game that really just kind of freaked me out. But
it was one of the first ones that got you.
Yeah, I think that one that sticks out. So I mean, got me good.
Oh, I want to ask, like, what do you like when you're scared? How do you react as a gamer? Are you like ah, or are you like chucking shit against the wall? You know?
I think it's like it's kind of both, because like I played Fear. I hung in there with like Fear, and Fear had a couple like jump scares in it.
I didn't think
like
Fear was scary at all.
Me neither.
Yeah.
I don't know. I did. I got into it. I mean, like,
you're not alone. Like I've heard that from a lot of people, but it was one of those things when I played it, there was just something about it that didn't hit me as scary.
Yeah, I mean, there was just a couple areas where like it was just like a smash cut. Like you were walking in, all of a sudden there was just like this face in front of you, and she was just like trying to jump at you or something. And it was just like for a split second, and like those areas, like I mean,
that's true. Like Alma doesn't respect your personal space. That is very true.
No, so like there were a couple of times where I like, you know, the controller kind of like fumbled in like my hands, and I was just like, oh, and then like I would swear because I was just like pissed off that a video game got me, but. But yeah, I think I'm not really like a screamer or anything. If anything, I'll like cuss or like, you know, it's kind of like a jolt.
Okay.
What about a game that wasn't a horror game, that something just kind of randomly popped in there and scared you? Anything?
Not that I can think of.
Not even like, did you play Arkham Knight?
No.
You didn't play Arkham Knight? Did any of you guys play Arkham Knight?
Oh yeah, for sure.
Remember when when the bat came up over the fucking ledge of the building?
The man bat, yeah.
The man bat, yeah. That got me good.
The man bat, isn't that Batman?
No.
There's man
what,
bat
I don't know what that
Batman.
thing's name is, but like there's like
it is man bat.
Is it man bat?
Okay. It's really called man bat.
Oh yeah, it is.
That's sick. All right.
Yeah, I mean, you
DC
like
wasn't very original with their names.
Man, that's some DC level shit right there.
Like you're just jumping around and climbing buildings like you would like throughout like all the normal time in the game that you were playing, and all of a sudden this bat just kind of comes, like this bat creature just kind of peers over the corner of a building and scares the hell out of you. It was pretty awesome.
And it's a total like Shannon was saying, smash cut right up in your face, like you know.
Yeah.
And because nothing like that had happened at that point, up until that point in that game, so you weren't expecting it at all. Like,
yeah, it was really out there. Absolutely. What about you, Zach? What's the scariest moment in a video game for you?
Scariest probably the one that got me the best was, and it was mentioned in the thread on Facebook, but it was when Nemesis comes charging towards you through a wall.
Yes.
And it was the first time I had ever experienced where like the rumble on the controller was getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And Resident Evil had a formula. You left the room, things stopped. Like you could escape. Things stopped chasing you. And you could get away. And with Nemesis, it was like it would rumble, bam, bust through the wall. And it seems like a wall that shouldn't be able to break, because Resident Evil also had the Scooby-Doo thing where it's like, oh, that's the panel that moves, and it would bust through the wall, the unbreakable wall, and you'd run out of the room and he'd follow you and chase you. And it was that first moment of, it really got me at that. It was super effective for me when that first happened. It was great.
What about a non-horror game?
Non-horror? I'm trying, it's funny. I've been trying to think about, like, there's stuff that's more like messed up than scary.
That counts. Counts.
Like, what was it? Max Payne, some of the hallucination scenes.
I think the babies crying and stuff.
Yeah. Like that was stuff that was pretty like dark and twisted, but I wouldn't call that a horror game at all.
Did you ever play Hell? Like that, like early like 90s like PC game? It was just crazy.
Hell?
I don't think so.
Yeah. It was
I remember Blood.
Yeah.
No, there was another one. It was like around like the 7th, like the one with like the 7th hour or whatever it was, like around that same time.
Okay.
It was around that same time. Like there was one, it was just Hell, and it was just the weirdest game. It was super hyper violent, and like it was a point and click, and like everything was just
there was a game like that I played called Phantasmagoria.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
was like a point and click adventure game that was real demented.
And real cheesy. That game was real cheesy. There's a point and click adventure. I believe Good Old Games has it. At least they did. It's called Sanitarium. And I cannot recommend it enough. It is, well, okay, the game falls apart in the last quarter of it, but holy shit, that first opening sequence where you have to essentially get out of the sanitarium and you find a town and all the adults are gone in the town and all the children are talking about Mother, and that you start to find out that Mother has kind of mutated all these children and they're all kind of grotesque in weird ways as time goes on. And it's like, it's the creepiest point, and it's all like point and click VGA graphic style. Well, it's probably super VGA at that point, but it's like, we're not talking crazy high res stuff, but it just creeps under your skin how demented this game gets as it goes. And it's really, really good. It's called Sanitarium.
What about you, Alaina?
Well, I was telling you guys before we started, but I have like a really spotty memory, so I just remember like kind of big picture stuff. And I watched my dad play a lot of horror games growing up. I didn't play a whole lot myself personally until I got older, and it was mostly the Resident Evils. And the scariest moments for me were the moments where my dad got scared, because, right? Because when you're a little kid and you think your parents like, he's infallible, he can't get scared, but when he does, that's scary. That's the scariest feeling. The face reveal in Resident Evil for the first time when you see the zombie, that's definitely a classic. And then the dog coming through the window for the first time in the Resident Evil series, I thought my dad was I thought he was gonna break the controller. His knuckles were as white as my face. We were both so scared. It was the scariest fucking moment, man. Because afterwards he turned the lights on and we like had a conversation because I was way too young to be a part of that. You know what I mean? And he's like, "Hey, are you okay?" And I was like, "Shit, are you okay?" And then I don't know if this counts because it was just a demo, but I do talk about this game in passing. All of PT, all of that demo was just just the sheer act of playing it, like it became somehow, like, because I was living with my family at the time, it became a family event where we were inviting people into the room to kind of like keep them involved. Oh, PT came out, it finally came out. When realistically we realized that we were gathering everybody into the living room to like collectively laugh to keep from admitting that we were scared, you know, like we were all like, ha ha ha, this is funny. And all of us were like, no, I just saw a baby fetus and it talked to me, and I don't know how to. I was
literally just about to say that scene when the fetus. Oh man.
We needed a minute.
Yep.
It doesn't look like a human fetus either. It just looks like a creature fetus. Yeah, that's spooky shit. For me,
come over and play PT, Shannon. You'll love it.
Man, I wish I could still play that game, man. Like Konami really screwed the pooch with not letting us re-download that.
I just kept it all down.
Yeah, did it transfer over to your Pro?
Yeah, it did.
Oh man,
I can still play it.
Apparently there is a way that apparently there's a way you can still download it, but you have to like connect your PlayStation to your computer and like get some software to like rig it up to download or something. So yeah, that's not ideal at all. But yeah, that game was super good. It just sucks we never got the full thing. You know, the Silent Hills or whatever.
And it's still somehow one of the best horror games of all time to me.
Yeah, it is. Like it's at the top of almost everyone's list. Absolutely. For me, the scariest moment I ever had in a video game was in Silent Hill 2. And that game was always pretty freaky, you know, as you're playing it. It's a super demented game. It's one of those games that scares you just on like a cerebral level. You know, it's not like boo jump scares or anything like that. It's like just the fucked up nature of it just makes you uneasy. There was one moment later on in the game where you have to go to the prison. And like there's like a courtyard in the prison where it's just this big wide open space. And all there is in the center is just like a gallows. It's just like a noose hanging there, you know, and you have to collect these 3 tablets and you have to put it into like the gallows noose thing in order to like open up some door for you to progress like through the prison or whatever. So I'm like in these prison cells and I'm digging around, just looking at everything, trying to find these tablets. And all of a sudden you don't see anything at all, but you just hear these pounding, like it sounds like hooves walking on the ground. And then you just hear this voice start talking, and it's like it's not a human voice, it's just this and it starts making these weird noises, and it was the freakiest shit I ever heard in my life. And I'm like frantically looking around with the flashlight trying to find whatever the fuck this thing is, and there's nothing in that room at all. You can just hear it, and it's like it's stalking you and you can't see it. And just that voice, like I can't even emulate it. Like it was just so freaky. And I think you can get a sound bite of it on the internet somewhere, but you hear the hooves walking and this thing speaking to you, and you can't see it, and it's super dark in this prison, and it just freaked me the fuck out. I remember running into each one of those little like prison cells as fast as I possibly could, and I found the tablet and grabbed it, and I got the fuck out of there, and I never went back in that room. It was so freaky. I think that was the most scared I've ever been in a video game before in my life, was in that game. Other than that, like for a non-video game, which is no surprise to anyone, is probably anything with like a large underwater creature. And like, you know, so we got Super Mario 64, the eel freaked me out. Clanker and Banjo-Kazooie freaked me out.
Yeah, there was an era there where they just like had those in every game.
Yeah, and Nintendo does it all the time. They even did in Mario Sunshine to put a big freaky looking eel in that motherfucker. But luckily, he just pops out of a pipe. Like he doesn't like follow you or stalk you or anything, you know. So he just kind of comes out of a pipe. And there's a track on Mario Kart where you're riding on the back of that motherfucker. Yeah, and even that was just kind of like, ooh, when I'm like riding on it. But yeah, the phobia is called like thalassophobia or something like that. It's the fear of like the unknown in the water and like what lurks in it. And I've always had that fear. It's a legitimate phobia, and I think video games are actually what did it to me. And I'm considering writing an article on it before Halloween kicks in officially, because I thought it'd be fun to kind of revisit like the history of video games with me and how it all started and the games that really affected me the most. So look out for that on our website. I might do that here within the next few days. But Subnautica is terrible with me with that. And Subnautica is a game that I love. Like, I wish I could play the fuck out of that game, but that game freaks me out like no other game. It's just there's always things following you around in the water making noises, and you turn around, it's just there. Those Reaper Leviathans in those games that they'll like grab onto your face and shit are like the freakiest damn things I've ever seen in my life. And that game, that game gives me this feeling I've never had before in a game. It's like that feeling I get when I see one of those damn creatures in one of these games is like that through the whole entire game. And just because you're always in this deep water and you never know what's going to come after you. And that game is so cool, but it just scares me to the point where like no other game have. Like I get nervous before I play it. I live streamed that game for a couple of times for fun, just to see how I would react to it, and people could watch me. And it got me a couple of times really good. But that game is one that I just wish I could play, but I get so nervous before I click the like launch game button that half the time I don't even do it.
I'll tell you right now, changing my answer to what has scared me in a game recently. I didn't play it, but when everybody was talking about that Hunter game, I think from E3, not this past year, but the year before, the one where you were the hunters and you had to go into the map and you had to find the monster and you had to
with the giant spider and all that.
I am terrified of spiders. Like I do not like big spiders. Like I could deal with the small ones. That's fine. You need me to kill a spider in the house? No problem. Like the bigger like spiders, yeah, those I start to not really care about too much. But yeah, like everybody's like, oh, you have to check it out. It's like super realistic or like, you know, the graphics are great and like the way it moves is just eerie. And like, yeah, I watched that thing and I was just like, oh, it gave me the heebie-jeebies.
I don't think I saw that. Are we talking about Hunt the Showdown?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I didn't really look into that game much. I should check that out.
Yeah.
I don't like spiders either.
Oh, dude, that spider was.
Yeah.
Oh man, this episode's about to get a lot more fun later on. Yes.
Yeah, buddy. All right, so here's the next thing I want to do for our industry buzz section before we move on to our Halloween game challenge. I want you guys to pitch a horror game for me that would personally scare you the most. So it can be a game that exists right now, but think of what really freaks you out and like what plays on your fears. And pitch a game that if this game was made and you played it, this would scare the living hell out of you like no other game. Shannon, I'm going to start with you because this seems like an easy one for you.
Yeah, I think I just pretty much answered it.
Like arachnophobia of the game.
Yeah, I think some type of VR game that deals with like with those creepy crawlies. Oh, well, yeah, I just don't like it just wouldn't end well.
Don't play what was it, Until Dawn Rush of Blood. There's a part in that game where spiders come after you and they'll crawl all over the VR screen like on your face, and it looks like they're in your face. Yeah, it's pretty creepy. So you're that much with spiders, huh?
Yeah, and it's funny too because it's not like it's a fear and then it just goes into straight rage, like just a unbridled like need to smash everything around.
Just like going Hulk smashing spiders and stuff, just like punching.
You see those funny like memes about like people who found a spider in their house and it's just like in flames behind them and they're just standing there and you're just like time to move. That's pretty much like how it would be if like there was like huge spiders everywhere. Like, what about like a spider boss battle in a game or something? Does that affect you? You see, I don't care. I don't like it. It's not something because like almost every open world like type game that's in like Skyrim or Elder Scrolls or Witcher or any of those veins, like they have like a spider boss. It's like it's almost a given. At some point, you're going to run into spiders. Like even in Diablo, you have spiders. I don't care about those, but like if it's a very well done like I don't know what it is. Like it's just. Like there are some that look more like daddy long legs. I don't give a crap about daddy long leg spiders, but like you get those like tarantula looking ones, like or like the ones like the trapdoor spiders, or like you know some of those like with like the I just don't like talking about them. But they just those are the gross ones.
See, that's the same way I am with like bosses with like big underwater creatures. Like once I know that shit's coming, I'm like, oh fuck, here we go. I remember what was that, Shadow of the Empire, that N64 Star Wars game.
I was going to say the Star Wars game.
Yeah, there's a boss battle in the sewer level where you have to go down in this deep murky water, and it has like this big mouth creature with these tentacles. And I remember like dropping the controller.
The trash creature from the movie.
Yeah. I remember like dropping the controller and just like gasping and like freezing up when that part kicked in when I was a kid. N64 did that shit a lot, man. They had creepy polygonal fucking water creatures all the time.
That's actually what I wanted to ask you, because you're big on Legend of Zelda. Wasn't there like a famous like shitty mermaid boss battle in Ocarina of Time or something like that? Majora's Mask? What was it? I didn't play. Where basically
Jabu Jabu?
Yeah, did he freak you out or not? Or
you know what freaked me out about Jabu Jabu is when you're inside his mouth and you turn around and see the massive teeth with his mouth closed.
I see.
That gave me the heebie-jeebies. But other than that, like Jabu Jabu didn't really bother me.
Okay.
Yeah. Mario Sunshine had a level too where you had to. There's a giant underwater eel and you had to like swim into his mouth and like get the goo off his teeth. I remember that being kind of freaky too.
Get the goo off his teeth? You make it like a doggy or what? What are you doing?
It was like black ink on his teeth.
Eat him.
Brush your damn teeth, eel. Jeez.
Yeah, for real. What about you, Alaina? Pitch a horror game to me that would freak you out.
Let's see. So it's funny, Zach was mentioning earlier Max Payne, and I don't know if that's classified as a horror game, but I do remember when I was younger, there was a scene where you were basically walking through a pitch black area, or at least it was pitch black on my screen at the time, and the floor was invisible, and it was so ridiculously hard to navigate. It was basically a broken level, and then the kid crying in the background, the baby wailing on top of all that in a broken level was not only just like, you know, the most frustrating experience, but because it was so busted and so broken and so difficult to complete, it really ramped up my anxiety. And I think a game that's like damn near busted would really put me on edge, because it would make me question, you know what I mean? Like that's a little too meta, but like it would make me question, like, is this me? Is this user error? Or am I insane? And any game that makes me question my sanity, and I'll talk about this a little bit later with the game that I'm playing, but any game that makes me kind of do a double take, any game where, you know, the environment changes or just changes like a little bit. And then obviously like the auditory with the baby crying and stuff, like especially if it somehow figures out a way to like break the fourth wall. And like, I'll get that in, I'll get into that a little bit later, but like any type of repeated noises would really freak me out. Like, you guys have all seen Kill Bill, right? Like the whistling in Kill Bill puts the fear in my soul. Like, I do not know why. Like,
really?
Repeating noises. Yes.
She's like, stop anytime you want.
No, man, that like, and like the emergency broadcast system, for example, I had a fat phobia of that for years. And like the dial tone, when you leave the phone on for too long, that like, boop, boop, boop. I don't mess with that stuff. So
there's
like
a lot of that stuff in PT.
That's why I like/hate it so much. Like, so auditory stuff and like stuff like that.
What's Josh, help me. What's the game I'm thinking about that messes with you, breaks fourth wall all the time? The kind of Lovecraftian
Call of Cthulhu?
No, does the thing where it like pretends to delete your save.
Oh, Eternal Darkness?
Yeah, Eternal Darkness. Have you ever played that?
No, but I'm thinking about the dating sim that came out last year now with that
the Doki Doki Literature Club or whatever.
That game scared me. I watched Let's Plays of that game and it scared me because it really messed with my brain. I was like, wait a minute, is this me as Alaina the gamer or me as like this character in this? I don't know how to feel. I'm really scared. So another thing I have is like games where safe rooms aren't safe. That's one thing I was thinking while I was playing, you know, Resident Evil 7, because Resident Evil, those rooms are sacred and you can't fuck with them. And when you're in a safe room, you are safe. You know what I mean? But I would hate to play a game where, you know, they're safe for a while and you get lulled into that false sense of security. Like, oh yeah, this is where I, you know, save my game and, you know, fix my weapons up and da-da-da. And then like yeah, like just like pa, like scares everywhere. So
remember in Resident Evil 2, when they had the, in those old Resident Evil games, would have the door opening animation.
Mhm.
Every time you open the door, you have to watch the door open, and then there's that one moment where they actually had zombies pop out of the door opening animation. That got me pretty good.
That's too much, man. So also no weapons, because the survival horror, like, so nothing is safe. Like, you don't have a weapon to protect yourself. I'm not talking like limited ammo, because I've realized playing the last couple of games that I've played these last couple of weeks since October started, if I have a gun accessible, even if I don't have a lot of ammo, I feel that much safer. It's the games where I don't have a gun or a bat or in anything, like I can't even really use my fists for whatever reason. Like that's when I have like the most fear, because I can't protect myself. So like, it's like a combination of like Fatal Frame, PT, and like Amnesia. That's like my scariest game.
Alaina needs like a shoe button, like shoe ghost, shoe.
I need a
all right, I'll leave you alone.
I'll just start whistling, scare them away.
Yeah. For me, I've always, when I was a kid, I grew up in a time when like alien abduction like became like a big thing. Remember?
X-Files and stuff.
Fire
like,
in the Sky and all that.
Fire in the Sky, X-Files, stuff like that.
Kind or whatever.
Yeah. So like, and then you had like all the reports of like Area 51 and all that crap. Like that became like a big thing. And I remember that shit always terrified me when I was a kid. Like I wouldn't even sleep with like the blinds open, because I was afraid if I look at the window, there'd be like an alien peering in through the window at me or something, like ready to abduct me or something. That shit used to freak me out so much when I was a little kid. And even like as an older kid, like up through like my teen years, like that always like really kind of freaked me out. And I had kind of like a phobia about that.
And then you joined Blink-182 and
yeah. I'm not like you guys.
That's so good.
But
why is that so spot on? Stop the impressions, bro.
Yeah. So I think if someone made a survival, like a PT kind of styled game where you're someone in a house trying to like, try to avoid an alien abduction, like maybe throw that shit in VR, I think that would scare the fuck out of me. I think that would really do it for me. And I'm not talking about underwater. I mean, you can make a horror game underwater, and that would just do me, and I'd probably die. But I think, for something that I would want to play and would probably really frighten the hell out of me, like an alien, some kind of alien abduction thing. I'm not talking about like I actually get abducted and they stick stuff up my butt or anything like that. I'm talking like just the stalking feeling that they're out there and they're like coming after you and stuff like that. And they're like peering in through windows and like cracking open doors and watching you sleep and shit like that. Like all that, like the stalking feeling of it was what would really do it for me. And I remember there was a movie that came out called Signs was awesome. And that was a very good movie. But there was one called excuse me. It was called Dark Skies. It came out maybe about 4 or 5 years ago.
I remember that.
Yeah, and the movie wasn't that good, but man, they had some really effective scenes in it where like what I'm describing right now was like included in there, like the scene where the lady goes to check on her son when he's asleep, and she opens the door and the alien's just standing there peering over his bed staring at him, like shit like that, like really freaked me out. And that was a really effective scene. I mean, if they can make a game like that, even like with a movie, if they could do a found footage like alien abduction horror movie that would be like really effective, like that would probably freak me out too.
I'm actually shocked that hasn't existed yet.
It has.
Yes.
You
gotta watch that movie on Netflix right now with Michael Pena in it. It's called like Extinction,
Yeah.
where he has like all these dreams about like aliens coming and like abducting people and like basically just the end of the world scenario.
Yeah.
And nobody believes him, but then like stuff starts happening, like where like slowly his premonitions.
I've heard of this.
True. Yeah, it's a good movie, and it's only an hour and 20 minutes. It's like short, but
is it like a freaky gray aliens with big eyes? Or are we talking like some kind of other different kind of alien?
So it's like I think it's another type of alien.
See, those probably wouldn't freak me out. Then it's those fuckers with the big eyes, and like the gray skin,
I
like
see.
the big heads.
Ones. Yeah.
It says X-Files.
Damn X-File aliens. Yeah, that's what would do it. But they do have found footage alien movies like that.
Okay.
But they all are terrible from what I've heard. So I haven't seen them.
Like most found footage movies.
Yeah, and there's one of them that looked like it was going to be like going to go into that direction. It'd be really effective, but then they like went way over the top with it, and it was like really silly. So I never even bothered with them. But yeah, someone needs to make that movie. That would be really good, like a Paranormal Activity for alien abduction.
It's so funny, man. Like the idea of being abducted right now for me personally is just so appealing that I can't even be scared of it. I'm like, no, just take me away. Just bye.
I don't want to be here anymore.
Holler.
Even if they like do tests on you and then like impregnate you and stuff like that,
No,
and put
I
you
don't want
back
no
down here.
alien. No, I don't want no
Dude,
alien.
why are
baby.
you getting all dark and shit? Just
That's
let
what
her
they
have
do.
her fantasy.
That's what they do.
Didn't you watch the X-Files? That's what they fucking do.
I don't want to have any alien butt babies. I don't want to have any.
Yeah.
No. Never
See,
mind.
the guys, they just shove like tracking devices up your asses, and then they impregnate the women with like half alien babies.
But what if they're like the cool South Park aliens, where they're just like, yeah, like we blew
Let's
up a
go
cow,
moo,
we
moo,
turned
moo,
a cow
moo.
inside out by accident. It's my bad. I'm sorry. Like,
Yeah.
you know, like it's all right.
moo,
Yet
moo,
again,
moo.
we show our age. Yet again, that's like way old South Park. That's not current day South Park.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
All right, Zach. What about you, man?
For me, it would be a VR experience that is like cave exploration or like the descent, like the descent,
like
VR.
a spelunking kind of thing.
Yeah, like narrow crawl spaces and no light and things in the dark that you can't see while you can't get away because of the narrow situations that you are trapped in.
Oh man.
Yeah, stuff like that.
Claustrophobic kind of stuff.
Yeah,
in a
yeah,
cave.
total.
So that story with those kids a couple months ago where they were trapped in the cave, did that like really sit with you? You remember back in
You mean
yeah,
the story I kind of heard about but never read because I didn't want details? Yeah, that one. Sure.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that sucks. Real bad. I don't need to hear any more about that. That's okay.
That would actually be like really cool now that I think about it, especially if it's like Descent levels where there's like creatures in there coming after you. Yeah, because Descent was a hell of a movie, man. That was a good horror movie. And yeah, that would be really cool.
Especially with that original ending. Oof. Jesus.
Yeah. The original ending was much better. Stupid test screenings and they wanted the happy ending or whatever. So yeah. All right, so let's go ahead and move on to our weekly consultation. Now, this week is dedicated to our Halloween game challenge, where we picked a horror game that we haven't played or haven't beat, one or the other, this month, and we were dedicated to playing that game, and we're going to review them right here, right now. So we have some from the community as well, and we'll read some of their responses here shortly. But let's go ahead and start with you, Zach. What was the game you picked this month?
So I picked Layers of Fear, and it's a game I've been wanting to play for a little while now. Robbie really liked it, and
I haven't played it yet either.
Yeah, and it just like I said prior, it's a game I've had for over a year and just had never played it. And it is short. It's like I think I beat it in 2.5 hours, something like that.
Sounds right up my alley.
yeah, and it was a fun little ride. The controls are clunky and it gets in the way of the game.
And this is post PT, right? They're trying to go in for that PT vibe.
And they do a little PT. So the whole thing is you're a like a Victorian era painter and you're coming back to your house to kind of finish off your masterpiece or whatever. And you start by exploring your kind of empty house. And then as you decide to get to work, things start happening, things start moving, actually, Alaina, this would speak to you and what you had said, kind of in that PT vein of you walk into a room, there's a desk on the left, there's a door on the right, there's the kitchen straight in front of you, and you hear something behind you. So you leave the room, you go figure out what that was, you come back to the room, the desk is on the right, the door is on the right, the kitchen's on the left. And it's all subtle enough where you're like, did I remember that right? Is that right?
I don't like it.
Did the game change it? And because sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't. And sometimes it's fine. And so it does it just enough that you catch yourself having to really pay attention to where things are. Because the first couple times it happened, I was like, I don't know if I just misremembered that, but I swear that door was on that side, not this side. You know, it's one of those type of things where, and then you go and do it again. You're like, okay, the game's moving on me. Like I got it.
You tricked me.
Yeah, but I appreciated that it was really subtle, you know, and it's a fun story. Like it's a good horror story with like a painter who's got some mental problems and probably a bunch of substance issues, and his wife and their daughter, and how he's trying to, kind of atone for some past sins that are creeping up to find him now, and so on and so forth. Again, it's really short. I don't want to give too many details out there because it would ruin huge chunks of the game, but it does the kind of hallucinatory horror thing pretty well. The little audio clues, little video ticks, little way things will kind of move around you as you're going through this house. It's a practice in creepy more than scary. I will say the game isn't very scary. Okay. Because there are a lot of, the few times you actually come up against something, you see them coming from a mile away, and they don't do the like, and now they're right up on you. It doesn't do that thing at all. Or there's never like you turning around in the room and something's right there. It's like anytime there's an experience with another entity, it prepares you for it, and you're ready, and it sees you. You see it. There's none of that jump scare gotcha-ness really, but it's just the whole thing just oozes atmosphere. It's super creepy. I thought the ending was pretty solid, and then I looked on Wikipedia, and apparently there's 3 endings, and what I got was the quote-unquote bad one. Ooh. But which made me kind of want to go through it again. But I thought it was a really neat little twist with the ending I got.
It was all in your head. Woo.
It was Bruce Willis all along.
Yeah, I mean, Samuel Jackson was blowing up a train, and then it was no. But it's one of those things for you can get it super cheap. It's a great exercise in atmosphere and creepiness, and it doesn't take any of your time. And there are aspects I wish they would expand on. They could have fleshed out the story a little more. Like there are moments where it's just, and then all this stuff happens, so we can just move forward. And it's like, wait, you could have just hold on. Oh, well, okay. Now I know that, I guess, but sure. Yeah. There were moments where I would have liked them to draw it out more. It would have made it more satisfying rather than just kind of info dump you from time to time. Yeah. But it seeit's like they didn't have much of a budget, to be fair. I think there's a reason this game is pretty short. But it's like, it's all there to do if they would have done a full, What Remains of Edith Finch type of exploration. It's all there to do that. And I just wish they would have. And I guess that's the thing that I'm coming away with this game is I wish they would have done more with it, because it's there. It's just what's there is good. It's just really short and it wraps up a little too fast for my taste. But it was damn creepy. It was fun. You should totally play it, Josh. I'd love to compare notes on the story with you.
Yeah, if it's that short, I can probably breeze through it pretty quick. The follow-up game they made to this was a much bigger budget game, from what I've been told, which was Observer, that like sci-fi horror game.
Yeah,
it's like a cyberpunk.
People.
Yeah, it's like a cyberpunk horror game. Yeah, they made that. So, and that game is supposed to be pretty rad. So
cool.
I have not played it though. Mm-hmm. All right, cool. So what would you give it, like, out of 10? Like, for how many ghosts out of 10 would you give it? How many spooks out of 10?
I'd probably give it a good 6 boos.
Okay. Like, a good boos though, I promise.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, they're like king boos. They got crowns on and stuff.
Yes.
Like Casper boos.
Cool.
Yeah, totally. The ghost of Richie Rich, Casper.
There you go. When you give your review, you have to tell the type of boo it is. The type of boo.
There you go. Yeah, no, I'd give it 6 king boos. That's what I'd give it.
All right, sweet. All right, Alaina, let's move on to you, because you did a little flip flop on us, right? You switched your game out.
Yeah, man, I was flipping and flopping like crazy. So
give us the details. What happened?
I originally was going to play Resident Evil 7, and my father was nice enough to lend it to me because it's been sitting at his house for forever. And I'm playing it, and I finally got past the hillbilly dad with the car, and then I wandered around the building a little bit in Resident Evil. And I answered the phone a couple times, and I whipped out a chainsaw, and I got past the hillbilly dad again. And then I'm finally outside of the house, and I actually posted on this a little bit with my Twitter, and I'm in pure darkness, and I'm wandering around, and then I get a call from my dad, my hillbilly dad, on Facebook. He's hit me up, and he's like, hey, can I have the game back? And I was like, you know what? Yeah, I was actually pretty eager to give this game up because what I played, and I played, you know, I'd say 2, 3, 4 hours. It wasn't what I was looking for. It was really repetitive in terms of environment. Like I was running up and down those halls with no regard for human life. Not there was any human life there, but I wasn't scared and I didn't really care. And maybe it's because I started over and I kind of knew what was coming. But I do remember playing the first time and being like, cool, this is all the same. And I've been running back and forth and it's still all the same. And, you know, Zach was mentioning how the environment changes a little bit. Maybe I'm, you know, perpetually inobservant, but I didn't notice any differences when I was running around the house. And I wasn't really, you know, there weren't that many enemies. And I don't know. I was like, okay, instead of shitting on this.
That does change.
And I just wasn't willing to commit the time. And unfortunately I couldn't because he wanted to borrow it and there's nothing wrong with that. It's his game. So of course I'm going to be like, yeah, sure, man, go.
Yeah, the moments that you are talking about were actually my favorite moments in that game because afterwards it starts to become more of an action game and you start to get a lot of enemies at you.
Yeah, I kind of agree with Josh. If that first couple hours didn't grab you, then that game devolves, for my wording, that game devolves back into a Resident Evil game after the Mother's section.
Okay, that's kind of where
Resident Evil game again, and it's like, well, that's okay. I mean, they do that well, but man, that first couple hours for me was so special. It was so good.
I don't know. I've given it 2 shots now, and it just really didn't do anything for me. And I think it's because of the Resident Evil title. I think if this game was named anything else, I wouldn't have gone into it with these expectations. I'll admit it. Like I went into it with expectations and it did not meet them. Whatever those expectations were, I don't know. Like
that's crazy to me because it met the expectations. To me, this felt more like a Resident Evil game than any Resident Evil game has in decades.
Not for me. I don't know. Maybe it's because I really enjoyed like 4 and
yeah, so you like the more action-y Resident Evils.
Fuck, I like them all, man. They're all some of my favorite games of all time, but like I don't know.
Lena's all about that RE5 life.
Like punching boulders.
Yeah.
If you get triangle enough times, you can punch this boulder apart.
Yes.
Go, Chris, go.
And it sucks because you didn't even get to some of the best parts of the game too. You didn't get the Martha boss fight, which was incredibly cool.
So
she will bite you.
Boss fight? Okay.
Yeah, and Shannon, have you played this game?
No.
Okay, because there's I don't want to spoil it, but there's definitely a spider moment in there. And then I played it in VR. So and then there was the attic portion, which was really freaky. You didn't get to either.
The attic.
Yeah, man. I was just at a really repetitive part of the game where I was like, this motherfucker won't die. I want him dead. I don't care anymore. Like, just go. I'm done with you. Like, just go.
There was only one
back like 4 or 5 times too.
Yeah.
That's fucking annoying.
There was only one sequence in the whole game that I thought was just kind of bullshit. Was the brothers saw sequence basically?
I like that one.
I thought that was so dumb.
Wait, the scene downstairs where you grab the chainsaw and then a river and
no. There's the one brother. He's basically like Jigsaw. And his whole so there's the dad has the main house, the mom has the boathouse in the back, the brother is like the upstairs, and then his whole thing is essentially like you're in one of his puzzles and you've got to try to escape it, type thing. And it was lame. Like I was just like, this is dumb.
I thought the room that you had to escape from had the creepy clown like thing in it, and you had to like
finger and all that. Yeah,
and had to put the stuff in. And now that one room where you had to like pop the balloons to get the one like thing you need, and I kept dying because I didn't know that. Like, and then you had to like do parts of it over again. Like that sucked. But no, I like that part. So okay, so whatever. That sucks. You didn't like it, but I love that game to death.
Well, I can't shit on it too much.
Let's talk about what you did like.
Yes, yeah, let's do that.
Okay, so what ended up happening is basically after my dad borrowed Resident Evil 7 to play with his buddy, I decided to play the original Evil Within. So I pop it into my PS4 and my save file's gone. So I know this game came out in 2014, which was like a while ago, but I mean, I was trying to think to myself, like, could it have been anywhere besides my PS4? Because I had an Xbox back in the day, like a 360, but regardless, I couldn't find it. So, I end up going to the Evil Within 2 because of this, but I hit my dad up and tell him, and he tells me, he's like, my Resident Evil 7 save file was gone too. And I'm just sitting here like, we've got some phantom files and they're just, I'm just sitting here like, this isn't fair. Like, why did they have to poof boo away? Like, I wanted to play you, you know? Like,
that's the real horror game here is who snatched my save files.
That's my biggest horror story. Like, don't take my save file, Sony. Fuck you.
Well, you actually saved yourself because I think the first Evil Within sucks and the second one is actually really good.
Nice. Okay, so
you played the better of the two.
I kind of got that feeling too. So I played a little bit of Evil Within 1 and I enjoyed it, but it was very like action. You know, it wasn't as horror based.
It was very frustrating to me. That game was overly difficult.
Really?
Yeah, I thought the combat was overly difficult and it was frustrating and I did not care for it at all.
Huh. So I didn't have that big of an issue. I just wasn't super enticed by it. And everything there were a lot of things I liked about the Evil Within that translated even better into the Evil Within 2. I feel like there was a lot of fine tuning in this game. And I feel like a lot of horror games, specifically horror games, do well with like showing the player instead of telling the player. And the Evil Within 2 does this really well for me. Like when the environment tells a story rather than having like character X or Y tell it to me, I really like that. And, you know, I'll just give you some quick backstory about Evil Within if you don't know anything about it. The protagonist's name is Sebastian. Basically, after the first game, he's like trying to drink his PTSD away, and a character from the first game visits him at the bar, telling him, you know, somebody he loves is still alive. And without naming names, there's a lot of old characters who revisit the series, and throughout the game, you're basically in this alternate reality. You're in this fictional location called Union, and you meet up with people along the way who are kind of in there with you, but separately. And the people I've met up with in this game are actually pretty refreshing for me to see out of a AAA title because, well, I don't want to give spoilers, but the characters who I've met, who kind of are known for playing typically more nurturing roles are really badass in this game. And it was like a refreshing surprise because I go into certain AAA titles with like expectations that we're kind of going to see, you know, some of the same people basically like a clone of the character I'm playing. You know what I mean? So seeing a little bit of variety, I feel like we're bucking old trends and I can start seeing some different stuff when I play my games. But, you know, just getting back to the horror aspect, there were, a lot more action, just like with the first game, in my opinion. There's a lot more action horror than there is survival horror in this game, in my opinion. I had more ammo than I expected, and but I don't know. I don't know what people.
So more Dead Space 2 than Dead Space. That sort of thing.
like I was expecting more of a survival horror game, you know, with less ammo, and I was surprised at how much ammo they were giving me out. But I guarantee you can fix that with the difficulty. Like if I wanted to push it up to hard, I could probably like get even less ammo and turn this action horror game into like a survival horror game. You know what I mean? So yeah, that'd be kind of cool. Like I think if I do like this game as much as I'm currently liking it, because I'm not going to lie and say I beat it. I haven't yet. I'm about there's 18 chapters and I'm on like chapter 12 or 13. So I plan on beating it before Halloween, but I'm not quite there yet. So one cool thing is basically the people you meet in this game, your actions can like affect, how do I put this? Can like affect how the game turns out later on. And if you don't help, like it alters, it's kind of like a butterfly effect, but I haven't played the game long enough to realize what I fucked up. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about that. I'm excited to see why, you know, or what happens because I didn't help this person, because I know it's going to be bad. You know, I know it, like, but again, I don't want to get too spoilery. So with the scary stuff is, and we've already touched base on this a little bit, is the environment constantly changing. That scares the shit out of me because, again, very bad memory. I do not trust myself. So there's nothing worse for me than facing one direction, knowing what's at my back as a gamer, and then turning around to a completely different environment. Or for me, what's even worse is, like Zach was saying, just slightly altered environment, like just something's a little different, and you're like, do I need to go to an asylum? Am I okay? What is this? You know, just don't make me question my sanity. It puts me in a bad place. Because basically at one point at the beginning of the game, the very first time this happened for me, I was going down a hallway, and at the end of this hallway suddenly blinked into existence this fat eyeball. And it was just for a sliver of a second, and then it was gone. And I just had to like set my controller down for a second and be like, that was the game. That was that was the game, I promise, you know? So another thing were the enemy designs, because I'm sorry to shit on Resident Evil 7 because I really haven't experienced it fully yet, but I've only really run into one like real enemy so far, besides like the little ones. And these character designs, these enemy designs in The Evil Within 2 are pretty cool. And a lot of them like kind of stuck with me like after I turned the game off for the night. And at the beginning, I noticed that the enemies were almost kind of artsy looking. And I later came to find out why they're artsy looking. And I was like, okay, all right. So you learn a little bit more. And it's like, you kind of understand why things are the way they are. And it's almost like a mystery in a horror game. You know, you kind of learn, but you're a detective, so that makes sense. So
yeah.
One of the scariest things for me, and this actually will probably go down as one of my scariest gaming moments, and I didn't want to spoil anything, was basically at one point I was playing the game and there was this like tall lady monster who was following me. She looked like she was like fresh out of the ring, and she's chasing me, and I'm stealthing and I'm trying to look for a key card to get out. But the entire time this is happening, there's this awful sound coming out of my PS4 controller, like my actual PS4 controller, the microphone. And it's, okay, it was this broken singing and hissing, and she's like, la, la, and it's just broken and like awful. And the first time that actually happened, I jolted and like seized my controller and like gestured to throw it to the ground. And I was like, oh, no, don't do it. This is expensive. I was so scared, dude. It really, really, the first moment my PS4 controller made noise, it just put me in like a really fucked up headspace where I was like, nothing is sacred. I was looking at my controller like, you were supposed to be here for me, you know?
That's really cool because I played the game on PC. So obviously I didn't have a controller where they had a microphone in it. So like that didn't happen to me. And I think I know what moment you're talking about. And which is a really cool moment. But yeah, I didn't get that part of it. So that kind of makes me sad I didn't play this on PS4.
Yeah, it made it really, really
Bloodborne actually has a moment like that where there's things singing that freak you out. There are these enemies towards the end of the game called winter lanterns, and they're basically like these giant brains with like these hands coming out of them, and then they have a long cloak. It's like the body of like a woman in like a cloak, but then like the upper half of her is just like a giant brain, these big claws coming out of it. And you know they're nearby when you just hear them singing. They have this very faint, like kind of even like pretty but yet somber kind of song they sing. And you hear that song for the first time, you're like, what is that? Who's singing? And then you run into one of these things. It's like the most like freakiest thing you see. And then if you get eaten by one of these motherfuckers, like it is like brutal looking. Like the way it attacks you is just super gruesome. And I thought that was one of the coolest things about Bloodborne is how they had this enemy that will sing to you in like this lullaby that kind of draws you in. And it was like really kind of pleasant. And then you see one of the most hideous things in the world.
It's like a siren song, like those.
Yeah.
And siren. Just a quick thing for those of you out there, I'm actually doing this after I finish recording. The DLC for Bloodborne is like $6 or $7 right now, so I'm gonna pick that up if anybody.
I still haven't played that. I bought it, but I haven't played it yet.
Let's do it, dude. I can't wait because I love Bloodborne. That game was so difficult for me to beat, and it's like one of my greatest achievements as a gamer.
So you know what I'm talking about, the winter lanterns then, right? Yeah, those things are rad.
Bloodborne's one of those games I think it was just so hard, I never really felt it was scary at all. Like I was never
you
like
didn't get to the real freaky shit though, man.
And that's totally true. Is like and that's the bummer of it is I won't either.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna do it.
The first half of the game is like freaky, like werewolf shit, you know, and like it's not scary at all. But the second half of it is when the mind fuck, the
eyeballs and like forest areas.
What's the Lovecraftian like cosmic horror shit comes in. And actually the intro music that I made for this podcast has a quote from a character in Bloodborne. So if you're wondering who that is, that's from Bloodborne.
Nice.
But yeah, I love how all the characters are obsessed with like lining their brains with eyes so they can see like beyond like the human like existence and stuff like that. And they literally had like brains with like eyeballs all over them and shit like that. And it's just it gets so fucked up halfway through that game.
Do they make like a proper, like bound compendium to this with like all the lore in it, because like I love the lore of Bloodborne and would totally sit down and read a book of
there's
it
a YouTuber named Vadi Vidya or something like that his name is, and he does nothing but like Souls content, and he's the guy that you want to go to for this stuff because he really picks apart all the stories and kind of pieces them together for you.
Oh, sweet.
And
yeah,
he has them I'll shoot you a link to it, but he does like the Bloodborne explain videos and stuff, and yeah, if you want like the story and the information and all the details, he's the guy to go to.
Yeah, like I would totally like read a creature, what's that called, like the D&D books that have bestiary
or whatever. Yeah, I almost said bestiality.
Dude, just Wikipedia the game, because they have a wiki, and I rabbit holed that really rough after I beat the game. It was fun.
They don't have a lot of like good high res images and stuff. Like I want something that's like that thick with like sketches, artists and all that stuff. Like I want something.
Those old fashioned collector editions type. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Those are the good old days. No moss.
Book that weighs 10 goddamn pounds. That's what I want.
It's like leather bound.
Exactly.
So before I end my little segment, I want to tell my spoopy story, and I actually have two of them just because of how poorly this game put me in like a bad headspace. So with this whole controller instance, when this was happening and I was in the midst of trying to complete this level, in the middle of me hiding, I'm basically like holding my breath, waiting for her to walk away from me, listening to the audio cues and stuff like that. And as this is happening, she's walking towards me, and as she's doing this, the door in my house opens and I can hear it opening from upstairs, but it's usually a fast opening. It's like, bah, like somebody opened the door, it's coming inside. Nah, this time, out of all the times, of course, it's this long, creaky opening. It's just like, you're scared, aren't you? Like I had to pause and just like stop for a second. There were so many moments where I was like, I need to take a break. Just give me 1 minute. Like after a while, this the second one's actually the one that you guys are gonna probably hate the most. And this was me last night playing, and I was, the lights were off. It was like 9:30. I'm just getting ready for bed, playing a little bit before bed. And in the middle of me playing, it's just the light from the television, and I see a little speck of dust on my glasses, which is pretty normal because I don't know how to take care of myself or my glasses. So I'm like, okay, this is nothing, So at first I thought it was my hair. Like I was like, okay. So I shake my head, just a little bit, and whatever was on my glasses falls straight down onto my lap. And the light from the TV, it's just enough light for me to see the full shape of the fattest fucking spider I've ever had on my person. It was on my thigh, smack dab right in the middle of my thigh. And I didn't scream. I didn't freak out. I froze. I completely froze. When usually I jolt, you know what I mean? I'm like a screamer. I'm like, no, and being the stoner I am, I'm wearing a sweatshirt and sweatpants, and I just smash it. I smash it down with like the grossness of my sweater, and it just like pops, and I'm like, cool. Yep. So this is my life. And then I'm still riding the fear of this moment and this game. And I'm like, oh my God, what if the venom like erodes through the clothes and like then my skin and like kills me? What am I going to do? And I was just like riding this wave of hysteria all last night. And after everything was done, I was like, man, I'm so glad it's cold right now. And I was actually wearing sweatpants rather than my usual like pair of shorts, because imagine if I had actually like done what I did with shorts on and then I had dude, it sucked. But it was so surreal too, because I guarantee if I had been in any other situation, it wouldn't have been that creepy. It wouldn't have been that big of a deal. Like if the lights had been on, it probably wouldn't have happened because I would have seen it. And if I hadn't been playing a scary game, it probably wouldn't have like freaked me out as much. And I don't. Can I play with the lights on now that this challenge is over?
We never said you had to turn the lights off.
You could always play with the lights on.
Oh, I challenged myself.
Yeah, that was all you.
You played yourself.
I played myself.
One thing I didn't like about this game is the villain. Like
the first villain.
Well, there's more than one.
Oh yeah.
Okay, I'm talking about the painter guy.
Yes, he is like basically. He looks like
he's a hipster.
He looks like Tobey Maguire in Spider-Man 2 after he gets like douchified.
He reminds me of the enemy from the main bad guy from Far Cry 4, like that pagan dude or whatever.
I like Pagan Min. I thought Pagan Min was great.
Yeah, but he's like a hipster in a suit, and he was kind of obnoxious. Like that's how this guy was. And like I'm like you're a fucking painter. You're the Bob Ross of horror games. Like this isn't scary, you know. And but the things that what he does affects is like pretty frightening. You know, but like him himself, he was not scary to me. But thankfully, the game kind of picks itself up from that fumble because there's things that happen as a result of what he's doing that is very freaky. But for the most part, like the I kill people with my painting stuff was kind of dumb.
Yeah.
I could have done without him, but thankfully the game is still plenty freaky enough without his antics. But yeah, so he's not the only one then, huh?
I'm gonna have more to talk about next week because like I definitely want to beat this. So you're probably gonna hear a little bit more about like the game rather than the horror part, you know?
Yeah, see, I didn't get to beat this game. I got like really far. I got maybe halfway through it, and it's one of those games that I started playing something else and I never returned to it. Now I don't even know if I have my save file anymore because it was on PC. So I really wish this was a game I finished because I really enjoyed what I played of it.
You should just follow me while I stream it. It's awful. One day I'll put headphones on and it'll get really bad.
Yeah. All right, Shannon, what about you, man?
I played Luigi's Mansion.
Yeah, you did.
I did. I love it. And it actually,
which one?
The second one, the Dark, was it Dark Moon?
Yeah,
what it was. And
you've never played these games before, right?
No, I've never messed with any Luigi games.
Was that on the 3DS? Or?
Yeah, it was on the 3DS.
Smart man.
And I'll have to tell you, I was very disappointed. I think
it wasn't scary.
I think
it wasn't scary enough, guys.
I think the timing on that was just so perfect.
I think it was the fact that like it feels to me like Luigi games are always like knockoff Mario games. Like it's always just like the intent to make a good game is there, but something about it just feels lacking.
Oh,
and
savage.
I think a little bit of Luigi's character in that game reminds me of how probably I would react in that setting. Since I'm
going to say he reminds me of you.
Yeah, so like, and I hate that.
So he's always shivering and shaking like every time he does anything.
He doesn't want to go back in. He just like they keep like forcing him to go back, and he just kind of keeps meandering around like finding stuff. But every time he encounters a ghost, he freaks out for a minute. I didn't like the fact that every time you finish the level, like you get sent back in, and it's kind of like you have to retrace your steps, or you have to like keep like it kind of feels like you're repeating a lot of the same motions to go to different parts of the mansion or the level that you're at, the towers, whatever
they're kind of like a Zelda game.
I like that because it's sort of like a kid-friendly Resident Evil in a way. Like you have to actually explore the mansion and stuff.
Yeah, but it's so boring. Like I mean, like it's in some of the rooms there's stuff going on, in other rooms there's not. Like the fact that like once you start to charge up your flashlight to stun some of the ghosts, you like once you're locked on in a certain direction, you can't pivot. So like if the ghost is moving and like you're charging your shot, you can't follow the ghost. If it decides to swing to the other side of the room, you just kind of have to like let the flashlight go off and then turn around and try to get them. And like when you have multiple ghosts in a room, it's kind of frustrating to try to get that mechanic down fast, or to try to get the shot off and wrangle up the one ghost so you don't get beat up by the other ones.
They should have borrowed that Alan Wake fighting system. That would have been good.
I never played Alan Wake, so I couldn't tell you.
Really?
You scared of that one too? Great. God damn, Shannon.
Luigi doing that though, like.
Yeah, so I mean, like it's it was just it just felt clunky, and it didn't feel responsive in the control department. And then after you finish each level, there's a rating as to how well you did on each level. That annoyed the hell out of me too. Like I want to play the game. I don't want to be reminded that I suck at this game that you guys want me to be like better at. Like
you don't want to report card.
Don't criticize me, Mom. God.
Yeah, like don't give me that like little report card, because like me being the perfectionist, I want to go back in and play it, and I don't have the drive to do that in this game, and it annoys me that I don't. But yeah, like overall, like, and that spider boss, like that first boss, like, first of all, I didn't like spiders, right? And the fact that I got to run up into this thing's face and then flash it and then grab that stupid nutsack thing behind it and pull it into a flame.
The context of this is amazing. Like flashing it, nutsack thing. I'm like, I'm sorry, like, Luigi, what?
Yeah, it was just like that boss battle was frustrating, and like I didn't feel like it, like everything just kind of came to a head in that one thing where I was just like, okay, I'm not having fun anymore. Like I still did like 2 more levels or like 2 more like parts of the moon crystal, like to get the crystals, but like nothing felt fun about the game. Like it was a big, just clunky dookie mess for me. Like so I mean it might be fun for other people, and you know, if other people have a different opinion, that's great, but like to me, just it felt like Mario's bastard stepchild of a video game, like just a discount Mario.
I wonder if they do Luigi games like that on purpose, because when you were explaining it, it was like, yeah, but that's Luigi. He's the more. I know,
but that, I mean, how meta of a joke is that though? Like we're like,
you're Nintendo.
You're putting down that much money on a game that you know is just going to be Sucksville. Like it just, I mean, or not as good, or.
And you know they're making a third one, right?
Some people like Luigi over Mario. That's just the way it is.
I mean, maybe if they change the mechanics where, like, you know, once you have your shot charged, you can pivot and like move around to follow your target. I think I might enjoy it a little bit more. You know, if the controls felt a little bit more with it than disconnected, I think I might give this another try on the Switch when it comes out, but we'll see. So for right now, like my current rating is do not like.
Do not like. Oh man!
So zero King Boos.
Yeah, I would actually give it, like, even though he's one of my favorite ghosts, I would give it like a Slimer, just like one Slimer, just
like
one lonely Slimer.
A Ghostbusters 3 Slimer.
Yeah, like a really just a bad knockoff version of Slimer.
If it makes you feel any better, I played the first Luigi's Mansion, and I did not enjoy it. And the word you use, clunky, really sums up how I felt about the controls, and I just put it down. I couldn't. It didn't feel fluid, and I was like, okay, this is cool, but like I played and I know how the game is, and I can tell I'm not gonna like it anyway. Bye, you know. Yeah.
No, I agree.
I am the complete opposite. I loved both Luigi Mansion games.
Well,
I just butchered that name. Luigi's Mansion. I loved both of those games.
Man, I'm kind of surprised, Shannon, because I dug those too. Like I thought they were fun. I don't know.
So what do you like about the games? You know, because for me, I just couldn't get past the controls.
I had no problem. Like all the complaints you just complained about, I had none of those problems at all. I thought the game was super charming. I liked how it was sort of like a pseudo survival horror game, but for kids. You know, there was like a mansion to explore. There was objectives like getting all the different gadgets from what was it, Professor Egad or whatever his name was, with his little tooth hanging out. You know, and you're literally sucking up ghosts with a vacuum cleaner. I mean, it was just charming as hell. I thought the game was fun. I liked both. I thought the second one was even better than the first one. So I'm really pumped for the third one. I'm actually highly anticipating that game now. Yeah, and I'm bummed that you didn't like it.
I kind of agree with you. I thought it was like my first Resident, like, you know, the kids branded my first Resident Evil type game, you know, like it just kind of felt that way to me, but I don't know. Yeah. I thought it was charming. I didn't have control issues. I just didn't.
Maybe it's me. Maybe I was doing. I don't know.
Oh, maybe
Shannon, it's us. We're the Luigis. We were the Luigis all along. No.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, maybe they just making bad choices or liking bad things. Maybe
and Luigi's Mansion 2, the one you played, got like really good reviews.
I know.
When it came out.
I was really surprised, and like when I went to GameStop to pick it up, they were like, "Oh, in my personal opinion, I like the first one better," but blah blah blah. And I was like, "Well, you know,
like every GameStop
mandatory with purchase."
I was like, "Yeah, well, thank you. I don't really care. Just give me the second one, please."
I remember when this game came out, I was working at Target. I was a manager at Target, and one of the departments I managed was electronics, obviously, because of me. But I remember when this game dropped, like it was so hard to get a hold of. We would get like 2 or 3 copies in at a time, and they were gone as soon as we put them on the shelf. Like people gobbled this game up. I remember even I had a hard time getting a hold of it at first because I got like the physical copy of it, and I had to wait like a week or 2 before I was able to get a copy. This game sold like hotcakes, so obviously that's why they're making the sequel, because it was successful. So yeah, I'm surprised that I was expecting you to totally dig this game, actually.
Yeah, I was upset. I mean, it's, you know, when you go in, you have like an expectation of how the game's going to handle and play, and it's not. It just kind of sets you up for a bad trip.
Yeah, it's a bummer, man. Oh well, can't like everything, right?
No,
Hmm.
no.
It
All
happens.
Yes, my wife. I don't like a lot of things.
Yeah. All right, we won't go there, but okay.
Just had to make it awkward.
All right, so the game that I chose was Outlast 2. And this is a game that I had in my backlog for a while. And I think one of the reasons why I haven't played it, I got it like dirt cheap through like a Humble Bundle. So like I didn't pay much for it at all. And I was always really curious to play this game, but I knew that I probably wouldn't like it because they kind of deviated from the first game a bit. The first game was you were a journalist who heard of these rumors about horrible things going on inside of a like a psych ward and like a psych hospital or whatever.
Mhm.
So you go in there and you kind of break in with your camera and you're there to investigate to see what's going on. And then you end up in this massive nightmare of a situation. And I really like that game a lot. The atmosphere was really creepy. They set up good scares for you. They had things that would chase you, but they were very sort of meticulously entered into the game well to where they weren't like bombarding you, but they were cool set pieces. And I just thought that game was super, super well done. Outlast 2 sort of does the same thing. You're a journalist. You have a camera. It goes in like night vision mode and everything. You have to collect batteries and like put batteries in to, you know, because you're always running out of battery power and stuff. So that whole mechanic is there as well. But the real journalist is your wife in this game, and you are her cameraman. And you go to this like backwoods area somewhere like Arkansas or some crap. I forgot exactly where it was in the beginning. And you're on a helicopter and you hear these reports of these people disappearing in this like backwoods community. So you go to check it out, and all of a sudden your plane wrecks and your wife is like gone once you wake up from the wreckage. And you start to slowly find out that there is this crazy cult that is running everything in this like hillbilly backwoods area of this place somewhere. And then you start to find out that the cult isn't the only ones. Like there's actually a religious cult, and then there's sort of like a these like demon worshiping like cults as well, and they're like competing with one another. So like there's infighting between them two, and you're kind of stuck in the middle of this thing. So you're searching for your wife, trying to figure out what's going on, and then like all this crazy stuff happens to you in the process. So the gameplay is very much similar. You hold up your camera. You can put it down if you want. So you're just kind of looking around like normal, and you can kind of conserve battery power. But you bring the camera up and you're looking through the lens, and you can use the night vision and stuff to kind of see in the dark better. And then you can also record part every time there's like a big set piece kind of moment that happens, you'll start recording that stuff too, so you can kind of search back through things, and it kind of gives you more story bits and stuff. There's a lot of notes and stuff too that you pick up in the game that give you backstory in the areas as well. Really cool setup. I'm a sucker for like cults, like religious cults. Like I think that whole, you know, sort of horror with these like hillbillies that are like way too religious that want to like slaughter people in the name of God. Like to me, that stuff is always like super fascinating. So this was right up my alley with the narrative. The problem with this game is it goes against what the first game did. This game is very much like a Amnesia kind of game. So, and I knew this kind of going in. So
like a run and hide type of game?
You're running and fucking hiding all the time in this game, to the point to where it's excessive. So thankfully, not thankfully, but thankfully for me, but not for everyone else. But when this game released, everyone complained that it was way too easy to get caught. It was very frustrating. There was way too many moments of having to run and hide all the time. There wasn't much breathing room, you know, for you to kind of collect yourself before the next one kicked in. And it was just bombarding you with this stuff. And a lot of people complained about it. So they ended up patching in a story mode into this game, which means that they tone down the difficulty significantly. They remove some of the enemies, so there's not so many of them roaming around, and it's harder for you to get captured. And so you can just
Is Is that on the consoles as well?
Yes. Yeah, it's on all versions. Yes.
Okay, because
Now
I also own this from a random thing sometime in the past and hearing that I'm like, yeah, okay, I'll do that because I'm kind of with you with the amnesia thing. It's like it just gets tedious.
Yeah,
the running
it's
and hiding.
trial and error. Way too much trial and error. So that's how I played this game. I played it with the story mode. And yeah, they toned it down quite a bit. You still get all the set pieces and all the crazy shit that happens to you, and it's still scary. Like you still get all of that. They just made it a lot less frustrating to play, which is great. You know, very, very welcome with that. Here's the deal, though. The game's still frustrating, even if you play it with that mode, because there's still certain enemies in the game that will kill you in one hit. Like if you run into them, they're gonna kill you in one hit regardless. So
are the kill animations cool at least? Does it make it okay? All right, that's
some of them are very brutal. Yeah, the way that you die. Yeah, they're pretty visceral. So you'll see some pretty crazy stuff. But like there's one character in particular, her name's like Martha or something like that, and she has this sort of like scythe looking thing, and she's in like this cloak, and she's kind of freaky looking, and she stalks you throughout the game. And if you get caught by her, you're dead instantly, and then you have to reload your save, try again, die, reload, try again, over and over again. Even if you're playing on the easy story mode, that still suffers from that.
Wow.
And there's situations in the game where you don't really know where to go. You know, like there's a certain place that you have to go or a certain thing you have to do in order to progress, but this thing's chasing you the whole time. So if you don't know where that place is, you're just going to keep constantly dying until you find it. Gosh. There was a couple of instances in the game where I literally, I had to look up a YouTube guide in order to figure out where to go because I had no idea how I was supposed to progress further. And there was like some little hole in the fence that you can squeeze through is what I didn't see. And it was really hard to spot because there was like bushes in front of it and stuff. And I died probably 6-7 times in this one spot just by getting caught by this lady. And that was really, really getting frustrating. And there's also other moments in the game, too, where people are still chasing you. And if you get caught by them, you're pretty much dead instantly. Then you got to reload your save and do it again. So there's still a lot of that here. And you're still getting chased a lot in this game. It is a lot easier to avoid them and sort of evade them, but you're still going to get caught with it. It's still repetitive, and that's still a problem for me. So the gameplay here doesn't work like the first one did. I like the gameplay in the first one a lot more. This game is I wouldn't say it's scarier, but it's definitely more fucked up than the first game was. There's a lot of I mean, the whole thing is about like birth and like the Antichrist and all this crap. And like the cult thinks your wife is like they impregnate her and they think that she's carrying like some kind of demon inside of her. So they're trying to like cut the baby out of her and stuff. And like you get all of these notes about people like having like these forced abortions and pulling babies out of them and stuff. Like it's really grotesque stuff. There's moments in the game where you find like just pits of dead babies and stuff and that they pull out of people and throw in a well. I mean, there's constant like references of rape and dialogue about raping people and impregnating them and cutting the babies out of them. Like there's just a lot of fucked up content in this game. So it really depends on your sort of threshold for that kind of stuff. It does go a bit overboard sometimes and it can become uncomfortable. But otherwise, like it does give off that sense of fear and that just kind of ickiness that makes it work for me, at least, to where it kind of adds like more tension and fear to it because of these people are just so nuts in the process. I will say too that the game is probably, even though the gameplay doesn't really do much for me because I'm constantly being chased by things and I'm constantly getting caught and I'm constantly sneaking around and that never stops. Even though like most of the time with the story mode, I didn't die too often, but there were still those moments where I was still getting caught and one hit killed all the time. But the game, like I put up with it because the situations that they put you in are really cool and really crazy. And there's moments that that make you want to push forward because you want to see what happens next. And that's the thing for me. Like the story mode turns this game into a frustrating mess, into a like a thrill ride. more or less for me. And even though the instances of frustration are still there, it's a fun ride to take because you always want to know what's going to happen next and what kind of crazy situations they're going to throw you in. There's one instance where they try to crucify you, and they put nails in your hands on a crucifix, and you have to pull the nails out of your hands and like pull yourself off of it. And there's like this like giant guy with like a little midget dude on his back that like comes stalking after you and stuff. And like, there's just some really crazy stuff that you get into in this game. And that kind of stuff, like you just kind of want to see what kind of craziness is going to pull next. And that was what pushed me through. And for that alone, I think the game is very much worth playing. If you're the kind of guy who likes, crazy gore and messed up stuff, and you want to see how far they go, this game, like the experience alone is worth it. The gameplay,
they push that envelope.
Yeah. And not like it's not like agony levels, like agony. Like I watched the uncut like stuff from the Agony game that came out this year that they put, and that stuff went a bit too far. Even I was just like, oh man, fuck that, But this game, and they put in the stuff that they cut out that was going to make it adult rated into Outlast 2. The PC version has that stuff put back in.
Oh wow!
So, but none of it that I saw was like really over the top or anything. It was just like thrusting and humping and stuff. It's like pretty much what they cut out. But it's still like when you're watching it happen, it's still like video game models, and it's still like the uncanny valleys there. So it's like you're like whatever, But it's still like I wish they would have toned down the chase sequences in this game. It does keep your heart pumping though, which is cool. Like it has that sense of urgency, and like you're going to get caught any second. But even with the story mode, I wish they would tone that stuff down a bit. But if you into this kind of stuff and like scary hillbilly religious people freak you out, and running through cornfields being chased by people do it for you, definitely check this game out because it has some really fun moments and it has a really cool story. And I enjoyed the ride quite a bit. I just wish it was more fun throughout it. So
I was thinking that I wanted to add forced pregnancy on my list of like what would be in a video game that would scare me the most. Like being a female character and having like a forced pregnancy and then having that kid mid-game or some shit would break me. I would like freak out so much, especially if it was like somehow like an alien baby, like you were talking about earlier or something.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Like Prometheus level, like ooh.
But you're playing as her, and then you like give birth to the weird.
Yeah, you have to give yourself a C-section.
Oh shit!
Yeah.
Just imagine. Oh
Yeah, well,
no, I don't want to. Never mind.
No, I'd rather not imagine. I'm good.
If that kind of stuff like gives you the heebie-jeebies, like there's definitely. I mean, you don't give yourself a C-section or anything in this game like that. I mean, you play as a guy, so you can't. But you do see like things that are like related to that are pretty grotesque and messed up. Like sometimes you'll walk across a body like after they cut a baby out of her, and it's just laying there with all the stuff hanging out, and like that's kind of messed up. And yeah, and then there's like one segment in the game where like they have like coffins for children, and like this lady is just holding on to like dead children in her hands and like acting like she's taking care of them even though they're dead because she's crazy. And yeah, like it's a pretty messed up game. The subject matter is definitely questionable for some people. Like some people aren't going to get near this for that alone. I have a strong stomach. It didn't really bother me much, but I know people are going to have some issues with this if you're real sensitive to like children being killed in games or rape or anything like that. That stuff makes you like totally uncomfortable. Then yeah, this game might turn you off.
Yeah,
it's one of those things. It's like I've got a decent enough stomach, but I just don't need to see that shit. Like I'm good.
Yeah, like I said, Zach, like
planet. Nope.
Yeah.
Zach, like I said though, like it's still so video gamey that like you can see past it pretty easy. Like it doesn't feel realistic enough to where it would bother you too much.
No,
which what bothers me is that somebody had to sit there and think this shit up.
Yeah, it's more that like I just don't need to see inside someone's fucked up brain that much. Like like.
But I will say this was a great
Centipede
game.
Was dumb and gory too, but like
I thought we were gonna go an episode without bringing up the Human Centipede. I never wanted to hear about it. No, I remember it.
I was like, I don't need to see the second one. Oh, it's gorier and more messed up. They made me watch the second one
too.
I only saw the first one. I actually kind of liked that movie. I thought it was cool.
I just thought it was.
Who are you?
I used to make references to that movie all the time. Like someone was having like that movie was really tame though. Like the subject matter, like the idea was disturbing, but the movie didn't really show
I thought you were
much.
gonna say that was tame. I was like, we're not friends anymore.
No, they didn't really. They shied away from a lot of violence in the first one. Now I heard the second and third one, not so much.
The second one changed my life and my brain and my outlook on everything. Don't watch it.
I didn't even bother with that one. But the first one was a fun horror movie.
I've got a whole list of movies in my head that I will tell people to never watch, like ever, because for that reason, like Alaina just said, it's like once the films exist in your brain, they can't get out, and it's just.
Have you seen Antichrist?
Yeah, that's up there. That's up there.
Yeah, the old scissors on the clitoris thing.
What?
Jesus Christ!
You don't need to give details, Josh.
Wrap off.
This episode got so spooky and scary. This is way worse than I wanted.
It's a Halloween episode, man. We're going all in. Jesus Christ.
No, there's Halloween episodes, and then there's just stuff broached. I mean, that's not Halloween related. You're not getting any candy out of that. Stop it.
What if candy started coming out?
It's
the PG edit. It's just candy comes out.
I'm done.
Yeah. Don't watch that movie. That part.
Don't watch that one. Don't watch Megan is Missing. Don't watch a Serbian film. Like there's a whole bunch of them. Like just don't watch them. Just don't.
Thank you for making that sacrifice for us, Zach.
Don't even look it up. Like don't like it gets bad.
Yep.
Our hero.
Yeah, but otherwise, I will say that Outlast 2 is a really cool game to play for Halloween. Like it's got the Halloween vibes. It makes it fun to play this time of the year. I think that the ambiance of Halloween really kind of elevates it. So it is a fun game to play. I give it I don't know how many. What's a cool but like kind of lame ghost? I can't think of one.
Give some ghosts and some goblins.
Some ghosts and some goblins. Okay, yeah, I give it. I'll give it 7 out of 10 spooky ghosts.
You know, it was a lame ghost. The little kid from Ju-on. That was a lame ghost.
Okay.
How many of those?
That kid.
Yeah. Okay, so it's 7 out of 10 Ju-on ghosts, boys.
Yeah, there you go.
There you go. All right. Cool beans. All right. So we got listener reviews here that also wanted to participate. So big shout out to Leland Steva. He played through Lone Survivor. We're actually going to play his audio right now. He gave us a little audio review. So here's Leland's thoughts on Lone Survivor. All right. Cool beans. Thanks again, Leland. Appreciate it, man, for participating. That's a lot of fun that everyone is getting involved in this with us. So cool beans. Awesome. Also, Andre Marias, I hope I didn't butcher your name, buddy. I'm really sorry. He played through The Exorcist Legion VR in Visage. So, Zach, you want to kind of go over his thoughts and opinions on these games?
Sure. Andre states, I started by choosing The Exorcist VR for PSVR, but after playing about 30 minutes, I had to give up. It's super disturbing, even for a fan of horror movies and horror games. And the game is not very user-friendly, at least in PSVR. I had to check Google to set up the settings. It's super complicated and clearly a bad port from the PC. I ended up choosing another game, Visage, a game that is in early access on Steam. It's a walking simulator in the style of PT, in which we walk through a spooky house trying to unravel what happened there. The environment is very well done and very close to the quality of PT, and is equally scary. Unfortunately, after walking around the house for about 2 hours and nothing had happened besides lights going on and off by themselves and a few doors closing, I ended up giving up. I hate it when the game forces me to Google how to move forward, and I gave in when went to watch YouTube videos. I realized that nothing had happened because I had not triggered a certain event. To trigger this event, I will not spoil it, I would have had to have done something totally random without any logic within the game's narrative. This may perhaps be explained by the game being in early access, but I decided to leave the game aside and wait for the final version. In any case, the game has immense potential, and I read somewhere that it will have a VR version. It is sure to be a terrifying experience. Imagine playing PT in VR, but instead of exploring a small apartment, you have a huge house. Which does sound interesting. I mean,
yeah, I never even heard of this game until he mentioned it. So.
What was the other PT one that was it Allison Road? Was that the one that got
great Jim Blossom song, by the way.
Yeah. Right down on Allison Road.
Yeah, that game got canceled.
Yeah, because didn't Konami sue him or something like that? There was something.
I thought they ran out of funding or something like that. I don't know. I should probably look that up. That's a good call. I'm not sure if Konami was involved at all. I thought they ran out of funding. So
I'm interested that The Exorcist VR was too scary to like handle. You know what I mean? Like that makes me more like, ooh, hey, what about? But again, I don't have VR, so it's like got to be one of those things where like the stars have to align correctly.
I'll check that out.
From what he's saying, though, it does seem like the PC version is where you want to go with that, because it sounds like the PSVR is a bit of a
PSVR games. PSVR like PC ports can be kind of wonky sometimes because the motion controls aren't as good. So, okay, how about Shannon? Read Jordan's there for us, bud.
Yeah, Mr. Jordan Derringer. Hi. He played a game called Among the Sleep, and that sounds like an awesome metal band. He said he finished Among the Sleep last night. The atmosphere was amazing, but the difficulty just wasn't there. I got lost at one part and still beat it in about 2.5 hours. I would recommend it if you can find it for under $10.
So the reason this game is easy is because it's made for babies. You play as a baby, okay? So it's made for babies.
Yeah,
good to know.
You play as a little.
That was in the design document for the game when they were developing it. Make easy like babies.
I'll just have you know, I've watched Boss Baby. Boss Baby can do some miraculous things. So
I've seen Boss Baby too. Unfortunately,
developers need to step their game up.
y'all live in that.
But I like the idea of Among the Sleep, where you literally play as a 2-year-old.
Yeah.
And it's like in first person, and you're going through your house at nighttime and you're trying to figure out what's going on. But I love the idea of, that rolling it all the way back to when you literally were afraid of things that went bump in the night because you had no idea what was going on outside of your crib. Like that. I just love the idea of it. So
I actually really want to play this game. I've always wanted to play it. I just never got around to it. I'm waiting for it to where I can get it for like a couple bucks or something like that.
Yeah.
But
or like Jordan was saying, if I find it under $10, I'd probably.
Yeah, definitely. It's worth your time. And for me personally, like any game where a teddy bear comes to life and gets you into trouble, I'm like down for that. I'm pretty down for that.
The creature in this game is actually pretty freaky looking too. So I'll give it that. But I know there's some Steam sales coming up, so maybe if this is cheap enough, I'll grab it and play it.
It's the season, guys. Oh, it's coming. I can't wait for Black Friday.
Absolutely. But thank you guys for submitting your reviews. Much appreciated. I know there's some other people who played along with us as well, but they didn't submit reviews. So that's fine, though. I'm just glad you guys participated and played some cool horror games this month. So, yeah, awesome. All right, so let's go into our week in review. We're going to actually turn this into Halloween memories and just whatever Halloween stuff we want to talk about, real life crap outside of gaming. And Alaina, I'm going to throw this at you. Do you have any like Halloween like memories as a kid or anything that really like stuck with you that makes it special or makes you feel all nice and fuzzy during Halloween or anything like that?
Yeah, I do. So I think this is my first memory of being alive, and I think I was like 3 or something, and my mom made it for me, or my mom and my dad handmade it for me together when I was living back out in Ohio. I was the little Energizer bunny. I don't know if you guys remember the little pink rabbit with the toy drum. It was the mascot for Energizer batteries back in the day. I heard that I won a contest for that. Realistically, my parents won a contest for that, but apparently it was really well made. I saw some photos when I got older and I was like, oh my God, I remember that. So my first memory of existing in this world, I was an Energizer bunny. So that explains my pep, yo. That explains everything, right?
Did you have a drum and everything?
Yeah, dude, they made me a drum and it looked so realistic. I have the Polaroid photos and everything, man. Like I'll have to dig them out and post them like maybe next year as like a celebration or something. But
yeah, I want to see that. That looks funny.
That's my warm and fuzzy because I was pink and warm and fuzzy on Halloween and I got to eat a Snickers that I shouldn't have eaten. So I was pretty happy.
We finally hit a barometer for Alaina's age because they still had actual photos at that point. They hadn't gotten into digital photography. So
Polaroids existed, and not ironically.
Now they do. My God, my nephew's like, I want a Polaroid camera. They're so cool and old, and I'm like, fuck.
So, Alaina, I got a question for you.
Yeah, man, what's up?
How old were you before you stopped trick or treating?
So I actually got to get away with it a good bit longer than I should have because my sister's a year and a half younger than me. So I got to quote go with her. You know what I mean? Like, oh, Alaina, take your sister to go with her to get fool. Like, I'm getting candy. Like, that's not how this is working out. Like, so basically the years where I was, because I've been 5'2" since I was like 10 years old. So I'm perpetually looking like a child. Like,
I know those feels.
Are you short?
Oh yeah. I'm 5'3".
Wait, really?
Yeah. I mean,
that's sick as hell, man. Dude, go trick-or-treating with me. Let's just put a mask on.
We need a little person fist bump over the internet here. Just
dude, cow, man. No, seriously, put a mask on with me. Let's go. Like, I'll fly out.
I can get away with it.
Dude, we totally could too. So that's what happened. Like,
fun fact, I have a hot dog Halloween costume where it's like a giant hot dog and it's literally made for a kid and I fit in it.
I know that feel. Yep. But then we can't reach anything ever. I can't reach anything.
I'm all right with that. I don't bump my head on shit. It's great.
That's true. Yeah, that's true. But then I need to get on a ladder to like see stuff and stuff. It's not cool, man. Like, I'm looking at everything at the top of my closet and I'm like, you're a journey for me. I don't know when I stopped, man. I think I was like way older than I should have been. Like 12.
I'm literally like maybe an inch or two taller than you, tops.
Yeah, probably. That's what it sounds like. I'm like 5'2", 5'3" on a good day. So
yeah, I'm like 5'4" with shoes on. So I'm pretty small.
That's cool, man. I honestly, you stand super tall, or you look super tall. So
yeah, I wish.
Look, I don't know any better. You're always in that chair. Shoot, I'm 6'2", everybody. Accept it.
Yeah.
Except no, I think 12. I think I was like 12 years old.
Wow, I think I was like 17 when I stopped.
Holy shit.
I literally remember the last time I went cool. I went trick or treating. I forgot what I dressed up. That was something stupid. I just put like face paint on or whatever, wore like a ripped up shirt, like look at me, I'm a zombie or something like that. But I remember I went with other friends that were the same age and we went out trick or treating and people were like we would knock on doors and they'd look at us like, really guys, but they would still give us candy. But I remember this one lady opened up her door and she looked at us, she goes, where'd you guys park your car? And we were just like, and she just like put candy in our bag and we just walked away. Like, so yeah, I mean, people still gave us candy. No one gave a shit. Like, I had teenagers walk up to my house. I'll give them candy. I don't give a fuck. I'm like, have fun, guys.
It depends on their mentality.
Pregnant, we're all right.
Yeah, well, that's actually true. But like, if a kid comes up to if he's not nice, I ain't giving. Be nice. Say trick or treat at least, please.
But also, like, you don't be those jerks that those kids could be doing so much worse. It's like, let them feel like they're getting away with some shit. Give them some goddamn candy. Like, they could be doing so much worse out on their own, running.
Probably will if you don't give them candy.
I was gonna say, if you don't give them candy, they are gonna do some shit to your house, probably.
Oh yeah. The reason their bags are so full is because they got the toilet paper in there for the people who are saying no.
Toilet paper and firecrackers. Yep.
Not even, dude. Like those punk ass kids. When I was living at my parents' house, they drove up the street with a baseball bat and hit everybody's side mirrors off of their trucks.
So I think that's what Zach's saying when he's like, just give him the fucking candy, because he's. You know, I never thought about that. You're absolutely right, man. Because they're at your house doing some innocent shit when they could be out like breaking stuff or like committing, minor arson. Like.
I remember one Halloween, some asshole was going around and stealing gas caps off people's cars.
Why?
Like, they were just taking the gas caps off, and luckily you can't take the gas cap off my car, so it's all good.
Hey.
Mine's like attached, so you'd have to pull the whole damn plate off. But yeah, some dickhead did that too one time, and it was like a big deal, and cops were looking for him and stuff. It was funny.
Yeah, I think I was with you. I think I didn't stop trick-or-treating until I was about 17. But I mean, it was just because my neighborhood was so small. I mean, we were on there was only one way in and one way out of like the neighborhood I grew up in, and like everybody in that little like sealed off area like knew all the kids in that area. So like you knew like which punk ass kid was gonna cause you trouble and which ones you probably give candy to. Yeah. So like, I mean, we would just run around in there, and like you would always get like a nice bag filled up, and that was enough to keep me happy. And like at the time, a lot of my I went to school. My high school was 25 miles away from my house. So like all my friends were on the other side of where our school was, so it was a good 45 minute to an hour drive if I wanted to go hang out with my friends on Halloween. And my parents at the time were just like, no, that's not going to fly. You'll probably run over a kid or somebody out there. They just didn't want that, to haunt my conscience forever. So like usually I was just at home and I would just find a costume to wear and and just get some free candy.
Nice.
Awesome. My biggest Halloween memory for me was my dad, because my dad was disabled almost my entire life. He was a welder, and he was working on a big building that they were putting in, and he was on a suspended beam in the air, and he fell off of that beam and landed on another suspended beam in the air, and destroyed his back.
Yep.
And he lived in constant pain every day of his life, and he was disabled, so he was always at home with us and everything, which was cool, but he lived in agonizing pain every day of his life.
Right.
So I remember my mom would always take us trick-or-treating because my dad couldn't walk very well. It was a miracle he could walk at all. But after, walking so much, he would, he'd just have to stop, and he couldn't do it anymore. And then the next day he would be messed up because of all the walking he did. So he couldn't walk with us for trick-or-treating when we were kids. So my mom always took us. Well, one year my mom had to work late at her job, and she had to work overtime and stuff. And she couldn't take us trick-or-treating. So we were just looking at my dad, Dad, can you take us trick-or-treating? And he's like, guys, I'm sorry, I can't walk all that way. There's no way I can do it. And we were super bummed out, and we didn't think we were going to be able to go trick-or-treating. So my dad came up with an idea, and he literally got in his car and he followed us as we were walking on the sidewalk, and he was just driving along the sidewalk with us. Yeah, just driving alongside us so we could go trick-or-treat and he wouldn't have to walk. And I don't know, for some reason that always stood out for me for Halloween, how my dad couldn't literally physically do it, but yet he still found a way to make sure we could go trick-or-treating. So
yeah, he still really made the effort, no matter what. He's like, you know what, no, my kids are going trick-or-treating, I'll figure it out.
Yeah. I also have another good one too. I had friends who lived in a suburb, because I grew up in the country, so we didn't have trick-or-treaters in our house or anything. So when I bought my own house, I bought it in the suburbs, because I was the opposite. Most people grew up in a country, they want to stay in a country. I wanted to live in the city because I wanted something different,
Mm-hmm.
And I was so excited to pass Halloween candy out when I moved into this house. I'm oh man, there's gonna be trick-or-treaters here. I get to pass out candy, this is gonna be great. This is gonna be fun. And then I had my own kid. And then, now I'm with him, so I don't really pass out candy anymore. But we used to go to a friend's house that lived in the suburbs, and they always threw a big Halloween party every year, and they'd pass out candy and have a party inside the house. And I'd always dress up and try to scare the hell out of kids when I was out there. So they would dress me up to make me look like I was a dummy or some kind of fake, thing laying in the yard. And then I'd just come up and start screaming and scare the hell out of kids. That was a lot of fun. And
for you.
Yeah, and the parents, I was always afraid that a parent would whoop my ass or something for that, but they were always laugh hysterically, they thought it was
scared
funny.
enough.
Yeah, I scared the shit out of their kid, and they're crying now, and the parents are laughing their asses off. So I never got my ass whooped. I mean, it's hard to tell what I would do in that situation. What would you do, Zach, if someone scared the shit out of your kid for Halloween? Would that bother you, or
it would honestly depend on if I felt it was malicious. If it was if you were just sitting on a porch and Jonathan came up and you jumped up, rah, and that was it, that's where it ended. Yeah, then I wouldn't have any problem with it. It's
that's what I do.
You got it.
I would
but it's
whoa, and that was about it.
But if you would have then chased him when my son was screaming, then I'd have a problem. That's when it's okay, asshole, you're dealing with me now.
Put the fire to the ground.
Yeah, exactly. But no, I mean, that's just, it's one of those things, kids got to learn, you got to learn.
It's part of the season, man. This is, this is all in good fun. What about you, Shannon?
My memory, or just
anything you want to talk about, man? It's Halloween related. You just spill the guts.
Halloween's always sucked. I never
really Halloween guy.
No, well, I mean, there's always, when I was a kid, I didn't like to have the face paint on. I hated just putting on the crap. I don't know what it was. I just didn't like it. And all of the costumes that my mom always got me always involved a lot of face paint. I was always the Grim Reaper, or I was something else. And it or a couple years I was things as I got older, I was a beekeeper, which wasn't as bad because
beekeeper.
Yeah, I mean, I said, my costumes weren't awesome. I wasn't oh, this is a great costume. It was just, let me go out and get candy. I don't care.
Why don't you just wear a superhero costume or something like all the other kids do?
no, dude. Like,
Just put a mask on. You don't have to.
think
Somebody
wear
else
face-
is wearing them.
I think I was like, yeah, you can't be. I was a cowboy. I think, you know, I can't really think of any costumes that really like stood out that like I really, really liked. It was just like, just let me put it on so I can go out and get my candy. But
yeah, I grew up poor, so we were like the let's put the sheet over your head and cut the eye holes out, and you're a ghost. And then when you
Dude,
get
I
home, you better clean that motherfucker because we're going to sleep with it tonight. You know,
Better sew those eyes back in, Brett.
yeah, you better patch that shit up.
But yeah, and then like when you get older, it's like, you know, my wife gets the hot costumes, which is fine. But then like, you know, I'm sitting here in this stupid ass sheet with like a belt around it. And I'm supposed to be like this Roman gladiator guy. And I'm like,
Like
she's
the-
getting
like
hit
the
on by
toga?
like,
The
yeah,
toga
she's getting
guy?
hit on by all these drunk dudes at a bar. And I'm like, great, now this is my Halloween. I guess I'm like fist fighting everybody at the bar right now. And it's just, you know, it's like, it's just,
it's cool.
yeah, it's dumb. It's like, it was like the worst thing. And then like, you know, and then I had my kid, and like now it's awesome because like I get to put like, you know, I get to like last year we found a like his bedroom is Monsters Incorporated themed.
Yes.
So we found a like full on like Sully costume, like headpiece, like it goes over like onto his head and everything, and he freaking looked adorable in it. And I wanted to go take him around our neighborhood, and you know, I was just like you, Josh. I was like super excited to hand out candy, but at the same time, I wanted to go around the neighborhood and like hand out like have my son experience like the Halloween for the first time, even though he's probably not going to remember it. But you know, it was a bummer because like our neighborhood, like it's up a hill, and there's not really like a lot of sidewalks. So if you really want candy, you got to walk a long way up a hill, which nobody's going to do. And then like we're on a cul-de-sac, so it's like you make a loop and then you're gone. So not a lot of people hand out candy in our area.
Yeah. Yep.
So this year we're going to go to my parents' house where I, you know, my stomping grounds where I, you know, did that did trick-or-treating, and like all the people around there like know what's up. Like, I mean, they're like in like a couple of houses in that area give out like full-size candy bars. Like, so like I know his haul is going to be like a pretty good size if we could just like carry him around for a little bit. And, you know, now like we could do family costumes. So like he's going to go as a mouse this year. And like Maggie and I got, or my wife and I got, we got cat onesies. So like we're going to both dress up as cats, and he's going to be a mouse. And so like, you know, it'll just be like a fun time, like walking around and doing that stuff. So I'm looking forward to like all the Halloweens until he doesn't want to hang out with us anymore.
These are going to be the best Halloweens for you, because just like you said, you're going back to your like OG stomping ground, but this time with like your little one, and
Yeah.
it's like a whole new thing, man. Oh, it's going to be good.
Yeah,
But I
I'm
think
looking
you
forward to it.
should. My piece of advice for you is just, if you're having problems with your costumes, you just got to invest a little more time and or money in those costumes, because like I've had years where I've bought shit off eBay and then tried to fit my body in like a size S in China sizes, and I'm like, oh, this isn't gonna work, but go for it. I spent $9.99 on it. I'm not returning this one. So sometimes you just gotta plan a little bit. Like you could have been Mike Wazowski to Sully, you know what I mean, or something like that, you know. And painting your face green is probably
Maggie was Mike Wazowski, and then I was one of the like the code 51 or whatever, what was it, a 47, like the one where the dude has the sock on the back.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Like they sold a shirt
Yeah.
at Disney, and it was basically just like the sock on the back, and then it was like a shaved like body. And so like basically that's what I put that shirt on, and I was just like that dude, and like, you know, so
My son
good.
is obsessed with Toy Story.
Mhm,
So
mhm.
we got him a Woody costume this year.
Nice.
I saw he
And,
looks so cute, dude.
Yeah, it's pretty adorable. And I wanted to dress up like Buzz Lightyear with him.
As
But
you should.
I actually went to like all the Halloween stores around here, and like none of them had like adult Toy Story costumes. And I did find a Walmart that had a.
Shut up, Zach. Weird.
What did he say?
He's like, oh, weird. You
So
bastard.
I'm trying to be awesome dad here, but you're being a dick. So,
You would
so
look
anyways, I did find that they did have a Buzz Lightyear for adults at like Walmart, but like it was really bad looking. Like it just didn't really
That's
look
the
like Buzz
point.
Lightyear. So I didn't even bother with it. But
It was like Buzz Light Dude or something like that.
no, it was licensed. It was Disney licensed. It just
Oh, dude.
there was no wings and like it didn't look right, and it was just like a jumper. Like everything was just one piece, and it just didn't seem worth it.
It's just Buzz Light, and then it stops right there. Just Buzz Light.
Buzz
Yeah.
Light.
Dude,
All
you
right,
gotta
Zach.
you gotta get the Buzz Lightyear onesie and then just make your own.
Yeah.
wings.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could get some cardboard boxes and paint them, make my own wings or something.
Just use the Switch cardboard thing they fucking put now. Just do that.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. I'll go spend $69.99 on that right now.
Money well spent.
Yeah, I mean, get some Labo up in your ass.
Yep.
Oh, gross! Literally.
Labo gives you wings, bruh.
But I mean, if all else fails, I got my child hot dog costume, so that's always a winner.
Dude, that's the one. That's the
The
one.
one. Yep. What about you, Zach?
Halloween for me, like it's funny. It was always a fun holiday, but it was never like one of those end all be all. And my wife's brother, he's 30 now, but it is like still the end all be all holiday for him. Like he goes back to his mom's house and decorates it every year. Aww. And like it's to the level of getting put into the local paper. Like it's so crazy. You know, like he starts
awesome.
Yeah, it's insane.
Dude, I want to see.
And he starts planning it like literally in May. Like this year he built the entire wreath from Nightmare Before Christmas, the wreath that comes alive with the hands and all that. Yeah. But like he built the entire thing. It's animatronic. It moves. The eyes move in it, and it looks back and forth. It's all set to like music and like soundtracks. It's insane. And it's one of those things where I'm like, wow, I don't care about that. Like, I don't care about anything in my life as much.
Yeah. Like I wish I cared half as much.
Yeah.
Is he like some kind of engineer or something?
He just does it like on the side. I think that's his long-term goal would be in the like prop design, set design, that sort of stuff.
Well, he's in the right state for it.
Yeah, but his talent level is just through the roof with this stuff. It's a phenomenal. I'll get some pictures and post them up on the board.
Just look him up on Instagram. I think it's Foster the Holidays, right?
Yeah, Foster the Holidays. Yeah. So if you want to look him up on
shameless plug, man, give him some views.
If you want to look him up on IG,
hit him up on a gram.
Yep, hit him on the gram. But yeah, other than that, like it's fun having the little ones now and doing all that stuff. Like one year, Jonathan was obsessed with sharks that year, so we got him one of the like little shark costumes, and then me and Steph were shark fans because she has San Jose Shark jerseys.
Oh wow!
And hats and shit that was in your closet already.
Yeah, but he was a shark, and we were shark fans. And then. But this year he's obsessed with dinosaurs, so he's a T-Rex. He had an old Triceratops outfit that Evelyn's gonna wear, and I'm gonna go like safari outfit style, like park ranger. And Steph's got the inflatable T-Rex costume that she's gonna.
Yeah, that's freaking badass.
Those things are pretty awesome.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. Well, her sister bought one last year for like some joke party or something and still has it. So Steph was like, yoink, give me that. We're doing that. So yeah, it should be pretty live this year. Should be
when I was at the Halloween store, they had a really hilarious costume that was it was like an alien like abducting a kid. It was like grabbing a kid. So like your head like comes out of like the kid's body with like pajamas, and then there's a big inflatable alien with like his arms around you, and it looks like he's like grabbing you and abducting you. It was pretty awesome. I almost bought the damn thing.
I was looking around for onesies online, and they have the left shark onesie from the Super Bowl. Yeah, I know, right?
He's my favorite shark. That's my favorite shark.
Like seriously, like if it wasn't $100, I probably would have bought it just for shits. But
but then you got to wear it year round to really get your money's worth.
I was gonna say, is left shark still relevant right now? Is that
no, it's not, which makes it even better. Like everybody remembers it, so bring it back, boo. Like you just gotta dance
the
Katy Perry.
The Katy Perry Super Bowl shark, the one that was good.
So the inflatable T-Rex one, my boy Ryan has the Reptar version of it from Rugrats. and he wore it.
Oh, dude,
like
that's awesome.
The little town near San Carlos has the Goblin Walk, they call it, and where everyone takes the little kids and the shops give out candy and all that stuff. And he wore it down there, and I guess he just got mobbed. Like, it was one of those, like, he got like a block and a half and took it off because like, he just couldn't move. Like, kids were just swarming him.
This is what being a celebrity is like. I don't like it.
Exactly. It was just hilarious.
What about you as a kid, man? I'm interested in little Zach.
I was always in for the scary costumes. Like, I you know, give me the Dracula, vampire.
Were you like Freddy Krueger ever? Like a werewolf? Like, I mean,
I did werewolf. I had a full werewolf mask and gloves.
Jason Voorhees? Were you like a Jason?
Yeah. I did a Jason. I did a old school executioner. Oh, hey, look at this. I still have and my axe. And I was a kid.
Very nice.
It's now my son's thing that he breaks shit with. But
oh wow, everything really does come full circle.
It does. But yeah. So I was never one of those like I want to be a football player or like I want to be a superhero. Like no. It's Halloween. Give me scary shit. That's what I want to be. So that's hey, it always worked. I got some candies.
Yep.
Yeah. Cool beans. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much it for our Halloween episode, I think.
Our spook.
Yes.
All right. So before we go, I have one question. Just one question. You don't have to answer if you don't want, but it came to me randomly. What is, and I'm going to start with Josh. Josh, what is your favorite Halloween candy that you looked forward to the most when you went trick-or-treating as a kid?
If you say candy corn, I'm going to strangle you.
Please don't. Nobody can say candy corn.
I actually like candy corn, but no, that's not it. For me, it was always Reese cups. Like Reese cups is anything with Reese's peanut butter in it.
So
like cups or
which ones?
I don't care.
Exactly.
I don't care. The pumpkins, pumpkins had more peanut butter in them, so I would deal with those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about you, Shannon?
Oh, let me see. I don't, like because they're so random and rare. I would go like with like what was it, 100 grand or like
like those were the ones
where
we were like, oh hell yeah.
Like you don't see those except for like around Halloween time, and I will polish off like a whole bag of those, dude. Like dangerous.
What about you, Zach?
Never could go wrong with the bite-sized Snickers.
Oh,
ever.
Dude.
They taste better bite-sized. I don't know why.
Yeah.
No, dude. You got to go with like
frozen.
Yeah. Oh no, dude, you'll break your freaking
my teeth can't take that anymore, man. Like pay my medical bills and we'll talk. Like
brush your teeth, kid.
You know what I hated getting were those like little peanut butter chew things that were in like the little orange wrappers, orange and black wrappers.
It's like caramel, right?
Yeah, those were kind of
caramel.
No, they weren't caramels.
Mothballs were shitty.
I didn't like those either, and I didn't like black licorice either. If you gave me black licorice, I'd punch you in the fucking gut,
right in the throat.
Don't give me raisins either, okay? Don't give my son raisins.
Don't give me no pencils either.
Raisinets are all right though.
Raisinets are okay, yeah. But at that point, give me goobers. Like, just make it peanuts instead of raisins, and we're fine.
Well,
like,
yeah.
But then at that point, just give me peanut M&Ms. Like,
we're going down this rabbit hole.
Yeah.
We're going deep down.
I always hated when you'd knock on the door and they'd give you like something educational. Like it'd be like a little bag of like like
stupid shit. Like there's
with
somebody
the one
like
teacher.
Get
a toothbrush.
And, like, your dentist neighbor, yeah. Or, like, your
like,
neighbor who's like,
here's your eggs.
Here's Catcher in the Rye, and I'm like, I hate you so much.
I always like the houses where they make their own haunted houses and they have the kids come in and you have to go through it in order to get your candy. I was always terrified of them when I was a kid, but when I got older, I thought they were fun to go into.
Those are the best houses.
You were terrified of them because you were smart as a kid. You had good instincts. Like, don't go into some stranger's house. Like, oh, it's Halloween. That makes it okay. No.
Oh no, for me it was always outside of the home, like in the. I know. Okay. I was like, I ain't going to nobody's house, man.
Yeah, you just like go through their garage or something like that.
Yeah, like I know a lot of people that would do them in their garage.
Yeah, I just want to throw a party so I can get a bowl and mix M&Ms, Reese's peanut butter cups, Skittles, and all in one
Don't do that.
bowl. So like, just watch people's faces when they just grab a handful and just get this.
and then he's smug and he's like, "It's a trick and a treat."
Yeah, I know, right?
just dropping dad jokes on him.
Happy Halloween, motherfucker.
All right, thank you guys. I needed that.
So what are you guys' plans this year? Like, what are you guys doing this year? Anything special? Just for me, it's just going out with the kid and letting them trick or treat. So
we got a little neighborhood we go to with some friends, and we're all going to meet up and just do the troll. And I'll be back home handing out candy by 7:30. It'll be great.
Yeah, I might buy a mask and wear it around, maybe drink a little bit on Friday and maybe Saturday. I don't know. We'll see. If I get an invite, I'll go out. If not, then I'm staying at home.
I would say Halloween is on a Wednesday, Alaina.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm thinking about the weekend, boo. I got a day job. I don't care about Wednesday at all. It's not even Halloween on Wednesday to me. Nah.
Alaina ain't got no kids. Weekends is when you drink, Shannon.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say Alaina's just like, I know Halloween starts on a Friday though. Like I'll be drunk until Wednesday. I'm just like,
yeah, right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome.
Oh, God,
well,
I envy you.
That being said, we hope hope everyone has an awesome Halloween this year. And even though you will probably be listening to us again before actually Halloween kicks in. Well, technically, I mean, depends on when you listen to it. Usually Wednesday night we'll have this thing out. But anyways, have an awesome Halloween. Hope you guys get lots of candy and cool memories and play lots of cool horror games and all that stuff as well. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at That Pixel Life and get all the updates from us. And don't forget to join that Facebook group too if you guys want to talk games with us each week. And if you have iTunes, drop us a little review if you don't mind. That would be great help for us. Helps get more eyes on us. So thank you guys once again. Have an awesome Halloween, and we'll see you next time.
And if you're in for a scare, watch The Crow 4.
Oh.